Chapter 1319. Yes, I have successfully cultivated the third level of the gold phantasmal divine incantation. I can test it now. Tianyun stood up. He did not feel any excitement in his heart. This was a natural result. To him, cultivation was not difficult. He just needed to spend a little more time. He did not expect that not only would he succeed in cultivating it, but he would also be able to condense the gold planet. What a pleasant surprise. Okay. The spirit flew down and said, "Attack me with the third level of the gold phantasmal divine incantation now. Let's see how powerful it is." Tianyun nodded. Without hesitation, he operated the gold planet in his body. The power of the gold phantasmal divine incantation quickly poured out and filled his body. In an instant, a faint layer of golden light appeared on the surface of his body. It was as if he had turned into a golden man. Gold phantasmal divine incantation, Star Breaker. Tianyun's eyes flashed with golden light. He aimed at the spirit and made a move. His bare hand turned into a sharp blade, and he simply swung it down. The surrounding void was almost split into two halves. At the same time, under the slash, the golden light slashed towards the venerable spirit, sweeping all the way. This move was very simple. It looked like a simple strike of light. In fact, when it was about to touch the spirit, the light suddenly turned into countless rays of light and spread out, covering the spirit in an instant. It was as if countless stars had wrapped around the spirit, leaving it no chance to escape. Following that, the countless stars exploded in an instant. If not for the stability of the space here, the void would have been blown up. This terrifying move was enough to increase his strength by 20 to 30 times. This was the power of an upper-grade heavenly path martial art. It was only the third level. The further one cultivated, the more powerful it would be. However, he was less interested in this aspect. Ever since he obtained so many martial arts from the vast Sky Sovereign, he was no longer interested in upper-grade heavenly path martial arts. Not bad. You have successfully cultivated to the third level. The spirit floated out, intact and unharmed. The power of these attacks was not bad, but it was too weak for him. It was like an itch. Now, I can become a personal disciple, right? Tianyun smiled faintly. Of course. You can come with me now. The venerable spirit was excited. It waved its hand and a big hole appeared in front of it. This way, please. He gestured for Tianyun to walk into the void hole. Tianyun didn't think much about it and walked in. After entering, he felt as if he had passed through a wave of ripples, and the next moment he arrived at a familiar place. That's right, there was an extremely familiar feeling floating in the air. This aura was not a good one, but a murderous aura. This killing intent immediately made him think of the god-slaying pagoda. The god-killing pagoda had a similar feeling back then. It was filled with a special killing intent. God-slaying pagoda? Tianyun's eyes narrowed, feeling that something was wrong. The change was too great in such a short period of time. Could it be that it was the creator of the god-slaying pagoda, god-slaying? He didn't ask the question right away. He turned his head and looked behind him. The exit had already disappeared, and the only thing left was that venerable spirit. Senior Zunling, why is there such a big difference here? It doesn't seem to be the same place as before. Tianyun pretended to be confused. There are some changes here. You don't need to know what the situation is. Just walk forward. The smile on the venerable spirit's face disappeared, and what replaced it was a straight face. It looked rather cold, completely different from before. Tianyun's heart sank. It seemed that he had really walked into a black shop. The motive of this disciple selection was not right. This was the same as the god-slaying pagoda previously. It was very likely that there was another purpose, possession. His brain started working instantly, and his spiritual awareness probed the surroundings. There was a strong seal around the surroundings. Even a celestial master might not be able to escape. Once one entered, it would be hard to escape. Previously, he felt that the disciple selection was a little strange. It was strict, but it was too strict. It even caused them to kill each other. When the time came, no one would be convinced by him. How could he become a disciple? Now it seemed that letting them go through the trial step by step, so that they could cultivate the power of magic gold, was there any difference from being filled with murderous aura? Turning into a body that matched them would allow them to carry out the possession. If the possession failed, it didn't matter. When the time came, they could just change to a second one. As for those who were possessed, they were basically no different from being dead. Tianyun carefully observed the surrounding environment. But according to the situation, his teleportation divine stone was definitely useless. He just didn't know if teleportation would work. Previously, he could escape from the two celestial masters' seals. The seals here were of a higher level. Logically speaking, it should work. He just didn't know if there were other seals. But if he escaped, it would be difficult on the glazed region lord's side. Let's see the situation first. What's the situation? Did I really meet the god-slaying boss? Tianyun thought of the god-slaying pagoda. It was just a part of it. There were so many god generals under it, and their cultivation was astonishing. If they hadn't been reborn through possession, their cultivation would have been even higher. And he had killed so many of them. If they knew that it was all his doing, they would be dead for sure. After walking all the way forward, he soon arrived in front of a large door. Before he reached it, the door slowly opened. A strong killing intent surged out from inside. If one's willpower was weak, they would have immediately lost consciousness. Tianyun immediately held his mind and stabilized his consciousness. He wouldn't be disturbed at all. After the door was completely opened, a huge throne came into view. It stood in the center in front of him. There were more than 10 huge statues around it. The soaring killing intent came from inside. When Tianyun saw a figure sitting on the throne, his eyes narrowed. His heart could be said to have sunk to the bottom. God-slaying celestial master, middle-level celestial master cultivation. Due to serious injuries, it is difficult for the body to recover. It can only slowly rot. As time passed, the cultivation became lower and lower until finally, it completely turned into ashes. It possessed extremely strong power. The killing intent it released could interfere with the spiritual intelligence of cultivators. Just one look was enough to make a cultivator with the cultivation of the Lord of Heaven go crazy. Looking at this guy, Tianyun's eyes narrowed. It was indeed a god-slaying. Due to unknown injuries, it caused his body to be in a state of festering. If this continued, it would definitely lead to death. Celestial masters also died. This proved that this god-slaying celestial master had encountered a stronger celestial master, causing his injuries to be difficult for him to recover. He could only sit here and wait for death. Chapter 1320. After coming in, Tianyun observed the situation around. One statue, exactly 10 statues. Some of them looked very familiar. Weren't they the god generals from before? However, these were all statues. Without a doubt, these god generals had made great contributions to heavenly venerate Godslayer. Otherwise, they wouldn't be standing here. It was just that no matter how powerful the god generals were, there would always be a time of death, and several of them had been killed by him. Apart from that, there was nothing strange about the surroundings. Everything looked very normal. The only thing that was not right was heavenly venerate Godslayer, who was sitting right in front of him. He was just sitting there, and a rancid smell emanated from his body that filled this space. Even so, there was no doubt that he was strong. Tianyun could feel that if the other party slapped him hard, he would be flattened. Whatever evil Lord of Heaven set was just a fart. He would be easily smashed. This was the power of a middle-level heavenly venerate, far surpassing that of the evil spirit region lord. Even the evil spirit region lord and the previous region lord could only be considered cannon fodder. In particular, heavenly venerate Godslayer was originally an upper-level heavenly venerate. Although his cultivation base had dropped, his realm was still there. The power that erupted from him could still crush most middle-level heavenly venerates. The two were not on the same level. When he entered, heavenly venerate Godslayer immediately locked onto him. He observed him from top to bottom, not letting go of any details. A gaze that could see through everything was probing his body, including the insides of his body. This made him quickly conceal the power within his body to prevent others from discovering that he had 3 planets. Although it was generally impossible to detect, he had to be careful and conceal his aura. Peak Lord of Heaven Cultivation Base? Heavenly Venerate Godslayer's glowing red eyes looked up slightly. His massive body didn't move, but the armor on the surface of his body moved slightly. His massive body looked like a giant. In fact, Heavenly Venerate Godslayer's true form was of the giant god race, and his bloodline ranking was definitely at the top. However, it wasn't very high, only in the top 10. Yes, Master. He is only at the peak of the Lord of Heaven level, but his overall level far surpasses ordinary cultivators. He has already reached the half-step Heavenly Venerable level, or even the Heavenly Venerable level. The Saint Spirit waved its hand and all the scenes of Yi Tianyun's previous battles appeared in front of Empyrean Death God's eyes. Every scene was a spectacular battle. For instance, the eruption of the Dragon God bloodline, the speed of the Kuan-Peng bloodline, all of this was presented to Empyrean Death God. The main thing is that I have successfully cultivated the gold fantasy divine art. I have absolutely reached the standard that you require. The spirit respectfully knelt in front of Empyrean Death God, representing that this was its true master. After Empyrean Death God saw this, his red eyes looked at Yi Tianyun, as if he had a new understanding of him. I never thought that there would be such an existence. The bloodline of the human race actually possesses such great power. Looks like there are many things mixed in your body. Looks like it does meet my standards. Empyrean Killer God revealed a satisfied smile. He was very satisfied with this. Kid, are you willing to become my direct disciple? As long as you become my direct disciple, you can choose any martial arts you want. You can even choose any weapon you want. Empyrean Death God threw out a great temptation, as if he really were choosing a disciple. Yi Tianyun knew that this wasn't the case at all. Rather, Empyrean Death God wanted to deceive him into obeying all instructions. Only in a situation where he didn't struggle with the chances of seizing his body be higher. In particular, if he completely obeyed instructions, then there wouldn't be any problems at all. What if I refuse? Yi Tianyun asked. Refuse? Empyrean Death God's eyes turned cold, a red light flashing in them. However, he didn't become angry. Instead, he smiled and said, "Why would you refuse? Could it be that my rewards aren't enough? Haven't you passed through so many smelting trials in order to become my disciple? As long as you become my disciple, you can have anything you want." Empyrean Death God didn't become angry. Instead, he was extremely calm. All of this was to persuade Yi Tianyun. He didn't say that if Lin Ming didn't become his disciple, then he would die. It sounds like there really isn't a reason to refuse. Yi Tianyun faintly smiled. He knew that continuing to refuse was meaningless. At that time, if he angered Empyrean Death God, it would be difficult to deal with him. I wonder what conditions there are to become your disciple? You have already satisfied the smelting trials conditions. What you need to do now is to calm your heart and completely open up your perception. I will pass on martial arts to you through my soul. Some contents can only be given through a spiritual exchange. For instance, my experiences, or my secret skills that I don't pass on. Empyrean Death God smiled. He indeed looked like a kind old man, as if he were really here to accept disciples. This sounds good. Speaking of which, besides me, has there been no other cultivator that you have successfully accepted as a disciple? Yi Tianyun asked. In any case, he couldn't escape for the time being, so he might as well ask a few more questions. At the same time, his mind was constantly thinking about how to deal with this Empyrean Death God. If he fought this Empyrean Death God head-on, he definitely wouldn't be able to defeat him. But if his soul came, then things would be different. One's soul could be said to be the strongest and also the weakest. Before it left the body, it was the strongest. But once it left the body, it was the weakest existence. Of course they are the statues beside you, but they have all gone out now. After you become my disciple, you will be able to see them in the future. Empyrean Death God patiently explained. But his eyes already revealed a bit of impatience. If it weren't for seizing possession, he would have already slapped Yi Tianyun to death. Since that's the case, then I will become your disciple. Yi Tianyun pretended to agree. He nodded and said, "Then what should I do now?" "Very simple." Empyrean death god lifted his hand and a golden coffin gradually fell from the void. Tianyun could see with a glance that this was absolutely a treasure. Moreover, it was forged from a magical gold core. Just in terms of grade, it was already an Empyrean spirit treasure. There was a thick power of magical gold inside. He could finally see something that was similar to the outside world. After Yi Tianyun saw this, he immediately guessed that Empyrean death god needed a metal attribute mortal body. Perhaps this was the only way he could restrain the energy within his body or successfully transfer it out. He didn't know whether or not this was the true body of the giant god race, but at least for now, it seemed that Empyrean death god wanted to seize his body. "Lie down. When the time comes, relax and leave everything to me." Empyrean death god hurriedly had him enter the coffin. He was already impatient. Chapter 1321. Yi Tianyun felt the eyes of Killing God and the Venerable Spirit. If he didn't lie down now, he would definitely be slapped to death. Now he could only bite the bullet and not refuse. He didn't think too much about it. He lifted his foot and walked towards the golden coffin. It looked like he was stepping into a grave. But he couldn't not step in now. He could only lift his foot and step inside. After entering, Yi Tianyun lay down. His body was immediately filled with the power of magic gold. This created an extremely suitable environment, which was the extremely gentle power of illusory gold. Like seawater, it enveloped him. At the same time, the divine runes on the coffin began to light up, releasing circles of light that covered the area and blocked all external forces. Even the power of the Killing God would be blocked outside, unable to enter at all. Since he had chosen to take over a body, he had to abandon all previous powers and start anew. Very good, Killing God's eyes lit up. Seeing that Yi Tianyun could lie down peacefully, he felt very excited. He was ready to take over a body, and it was a very good body. How could he not be excited? When Yi Tianyun lay down, the Venerable Spirit quickly controlled the power of magic gold to make this place even gentler. Killing God Heavenly Venerate stood up, and the armor on his body made a clanking sound as he walked towards Tianyun step by step. His burly body was like a mountain, standing in front of Yi Tianyun. When your soul relaxes, remember not to resist. Otherwise, you will fail. I don't want to see my disciple get hurt by my soul attack. If that happens, he won't be able to continue cultivating. Killing God's expression was still amiable as he looked at Yi Tianyun and grinned. "Okay," Yi Tianyun said simply. Killing God Heavenly Venerable glanced at the Venerable Spirit to ask for his help. The Venerable Spirit also nodded. It was a simple eye contact. Then Killing God's eyes shot out a red light. His soul quickly left his body and turned into a red energy body that floated in the air. His original body was stiff like a statue. At this time, his soul was riddled with holes, as if it had been pierced by some force. Yi Tianyun carefully felt a familiar aura. Vast Empyrean. That's right, he felt the power of Vast Empyrean from Killing God's soul. He had felt the power of Vast Empyrean before, so he naturally knew what was going on. This aura was undoubtedly the power of Vast Empyrean. According to this, it must be the power of Vast Empyrean. It seems that Vast Empyrean still has a grudge against him. Tianyun narrowed his eyes. If it were anyone else, they would have been deceived. Seeing that an upper-level Heavenly Venerate was recruiting disciples here, he immediately nodded. How could he possibly refuse? I will transfer the martial art to you now. Remember to relax. Killing God Heavenly Venerate reminded Yi Tianyun again as he was about to enter the cave. This was a very serious matter, and he couldn't afford to be careless. If he was careless, not only would his soul be severely injured, but his body would also be damaged. Immediately, Killing God's red light flashed and he rapidly drilled towards Yi Tianyun. An incomparably powerful soul aura poured into his body. As Killing God's soul rushed in, Tianyun immediately released his own soul force to the maximum. turning it into the strongest force he could muster. Bang! Empyrean killing god's red light flickered, and then he rapidly drilled towards Tianyun. An incomparably powerful soul aura poured into his body. Bang! A deafening sound exploded in his head. Two great souls collided together. How could they not explode? Under this violent impact, accompanied by a scream, God-killer Heavenly Venerate flew out of Tianyun's body, constantly screaming in pain. The red light drifted around, especially the soul, directly collapsed, and suddenly shrank a lot. After flying out, he quickly returned to his body. Immediately, he clutched his head and roared, I will kill you. The venerable spirit was dumbfounded. He didn't expect that Tianyun would do such a thing. It was simply a suicidal move. Especially a lord of heaven who wanted to clash with an Empyrean soul. This was simply courting death. But Tianyun didn't want to die, so he quickly jumped out of the coffin and disappeared from the place he was standing. However, just sticking to the thick wall wasn't enough to escape this area. Sure enough, I can't escape. Tianyun's eyes narrowed. Whether it was entering the void or teleporting, he couldn't leave this damned place. There were many seals placed here. Even a powerful upper-level Empyrean wouldn't be able to easily escape. Killing God must have done this in order to shield himself from vast Empyrean's detection and hide here. However, he hadn't expected that he wouldn't be able to escape. He had thought that he wouldn't be able to escape. It was a pity that he hadn't destroyed this soul in one move. Otherwise, he would have directly killed Killing God. That would have been a huge gain. How could killing an Empyrean not be a huge gain? It was just that this soul was too strong. He simply couldn't break it easily. Even if the soul was very fragile when it left its body, it was still an Empyrean-level soul. After being struck, it suffered a lot of damage, but it still hadn't been destroyed. Still want to escape? Killing God stretched out his hand, and the power of a middle-level Empyrean immediately locked onto the space around Tianyun. At this time, Tianyun felt his body freeze. He couldn't shift or move at all. A terrifying power immediately appeared. The gap between the two of them was just too great. Compared to the evil spirit region lord and the others, he was many times stronger. He was simply on the level of being crushed. No, I can't move. Tianyun felt that his current power was actually so fragile. In fact, through the appraisal eye, he could already see that Heavenly Killing God's combat power had already reached an extremely terrifying level. Previously, when the evil spirit region lord didn't erupt, he already had 330 million star power points. As for Heavenly Killing God, he had already reached 800 million star power points. This was even under the situation where his soul had been destroyed. Just now, he had even ruthlessly attacked him, causing his star power to drop from more than 1 billion points to 800 million points. This was equivalent to directly demoting the evil spirit region lord. What a terrifying existence. Now that he had 800 million star power points, with just a slight suppression, the void and the like would be completely locked down. Should I upgrade instant teleportation or upgrade my void bloodline? He had to choose between these two abilities so that he could escape. Chapter 1322. Tianyun didn't choose to upgrade his instant teleportation, nor did he choose to upgrade his void bloodline. Instead, he chose to upgrade his cultivation. Ding! Beginning upgrade of God Lord cultivation, progress at 1%. To break through from Lord of Heaven to God Lord cultivation, one needed to cross tribulation. After the notification of upgrading, a terrifying tribulation descended from the sky, quickly enveloping the area. At this time, it was like Tianyun had an extra layer of protection, immediately isolating the power that sealed him. Empyrean Killer God was very strong, but in the face of a terrifying tribulation, he had to retreat. Heavenly tribulation was the power of the heavens. According to ranks, the power of an Empyrean was stronger than the power of the heavens. But the power of tribulation was different. Even if it was the power of the heavens, it could still erupt with amazing power. Even Empyrean Killer God had to retreat. He actually chose this time to break through? Empyrean Killer God quickly retreated. He didn't want to bear the power of tribulation. If that happened, his soul would be injured. He was already injured, and now he had to bear this power. It was undoubtedly even more uncomfortable. The surrounding spirits quickly retreated far away. If they angered the tribulation, the power that erupted would multiply. This represented that the heavens could not be violated. Even an Empyrean could be beaten back and even killed. It had to be said that although tribulation was dangerous, it could be used to save one's life at times. However, being grateful to tribulation was useless. It meant that if the heavens wanted to take one's life, no one could snatch it away. If Lee Tianyun couldn't cross the tribulation successfully, then he was dead for sure. To say thank the heavens was the same as thanking an assassin. Sure enough, the power of tribulation is the greatest. Lee Tianyun was very satisfied with this. He could immediately isolate the power of the seal, giving him extra time to catch his breath. He looked up at Empyrean Killer God and sneered, "What, you're not going to continue attacking? Didn't you want to kill me just now? Come on." Empyrean Killer God's eyes turned cold as he said angrily, "When you finish crossing the tribulation, I hope you can still be so arrogant." He didn't dare barge in. Once he was attacked, he would be the same. After Lee Tianyun successfully transcends the heavenly tribulation, there will be no protective shield left, and they can do whatever they want to Lee Tianyun. Seeing Lee Tianyun being so arrogant, he was about to explode. A dignified Empyrean was actually provoked by a little fellow, and his soul was even heavily injured. It was simply inconceivable. Logically speaking, Lee Tianyun's soul should also be in a more serious condition, but who would have thought that nothing would happen to him? It wasn't that Lee Tianyun's soul was stronger than the god-killing heavenly venerate, but he didn't just use soul shock, he used a mixture of various forces to attack the god-killing heavenly venerate. "I'm so arrogant. Come and attack me now if you dare," Lee Tianyun said as he patted his chest, signaling God-Slayer Heavenly Venerate to attack him. Empyrean Killer God immediately blew up. Without hesitation, he ruthlessly threw out a beam of infernal energy at Lee Tianyun. It instantly arrived in front of Lee Tianyun. Lee Tianyun immediately summoned his strength to resist. With a loud bang, he was sent flying back, but he didn't suffer any injuries. It seemed like there was no problem at all. Just the heavenly tribulation had already helped him resist more than half of the power. Is this heavenly tribulation that good? Lee Tianyun was startled. According to normal circumstances, heavenly tribulation wouldn't care about this. But now it was helping to resist. This meant that it didn't want to see Lee Tianyun killed by others. It was the same as its prestige being destroyed. At the same time, the heavenly tribulation suddenly flashed with a giant bolt of lightning, ruthlessly attacking Empyrean Killer God. With a loud bang, Empyrean Killer God was sent flying away. This strength was comparable to the strength of an upper Empyrean. Empyrean Killer God flew back a long distance before barely managing to stop. At this time, the armor on his body had already been torn apart. Just this move alone was enough to shatter it. It had to be said that this heavenly tribulation's counterattack was far too powerful. No wonder Empyrean Killer God didn't dare to act recklessly. If this continued, he would be finished. "You bastard!" Empyrean Killer God clenched his teeth, rapidly recovering from his injuries. He thought that he would be able to find a perfect mortal body, but who knew that he would find a disaster instead? "Master, are you all right?" The spirit quickly flew over but was sent flying away by Empyrean Killer God's palm. "Fuck off, it's all because of you. You brought back a disaster for me. Even my soul has been damaged." Empyrean Killer God was enraged. He wanted to dismember Lee Tianyun into 8 pieces, throwing all thoughts of possessing his body to the side. "I'm sorry, Master." The spirit flew back and knelt on the ground. No matter how he was abused, he still believed in Empyrean Killer God and didn't dare disobey the slightest order. Empyrean Killer God ignored his apology. If he wanted to quell his anger, then he could only kill Lee Tianyun. "Just you wait. Once the heavenly tribulation is over, I want to see just what abilities you have." Empyrean Killer God felt extremely wronged. But now he could only choose to accept it, otherwise he would die. "You good for nothing. If you have the ability, then keep attacking. Coward, trash, disgusting pervert." Didn't anyone tell you that the armor on your body is ugly? Who attacked your wounds? How refreshing! Lee Tianyun shouted from the side. At the same time, he constantly resisted the tribulation thunder. To him, all of this was meaningless. It didn't hurt or itch at all. Although the power of the tribulation was greatly increased, he had so many bloodline strengths and he also had a powerful set of armor. This heavenly tribulation simply couldn't hurt him. After all, no matter how heaven-defying a heavenly tribulation was, it was calculated according to the peak level of the Lord of Heaven. At most it would be several times stronger than an ordinary Lord of Heaven, perhaps even a dozen times stronger. But looking at Lee Tianyun's current state, it was nothing more than an ish. Empyrean Killer God was about to explode from anger. He had never cursed like this before. His dignity as a superior was completely gone, and he couldn't even fight back. Master, control him later and then torture him ruthlessly. When that time comes, you can still possess him. The honored spirit calmly persuaded. Okay, let's control him first. Empyrean Killer God felt that he couldn't hold on any longer. He had to quickly possess someone else. If he didn't change his body, it would be very dangerous. On the other side, Lee Tianyun was very calm as he constantly withstood the attacks of the heavenly tribulation. Take advantage of this opportunity to cultivate a thunder core. He recalled that this terrifying tribulation thunder was the power of thunder, wasn't it? As long as he absorbed it, wouldn't he be able to successfully condense it? Even if he condensed a thunder core, he could still coexist peacefully. There wouldn't be any problems. Then he calmly sat down to cultivate, absorbing the tribulation thunder. Every time he absorbed, the thunder core in his body would expand. Chapter 13:23. This fellow thinks he's fine just because he's hiding under the heavenly tribulation. He still dares to cultivate? So what if he absorbs more power of thunder? He's not even a divine lord. Empyrean Godslayer looked hatefully at Lee Tianyun. He waited by the side, wishing he could help break the heavenly tribulation and then capture Lee Tianyun. He would torture him in all aspects and then possess him. If he did that, the failure rate would greatly increase. It would probably drop from the original 30% to 10%. Possession was extremely difficult to begin with, and it was very difficult to succeed. A 30% success rate was already quite good. Furthermore, this was only possible under the condition that they were cooperating with each other. If the other party felt even the slightest bit of rejection, it would easily cause the success rate to drop. Even if they signed a slave contract, there would still be rejection. The slave contract only required one not to resist physically, but it did not mean that one would not resist mentally, so it would still fail. As for the disciples he taught, they could complete the possession. But not everyone was willing to sacrifice themselves. The key was that there weren't many qualified cultivators. If one wanted to meet the requirements, they needed to pass through layers of screening. The following stages were the same. They needed to break through layers of trials to meet the requirements. One's physique and talent were indispensable. Otherwise, there was no way to accommodate Empyrean Godslayer's soul. If one's physique was too weak, their body would explode as soon as they entered. How could they possess him? Their talent couldn't be too weak. If they possessed someone with poor talent, they wouldn't be able to make use of it, causing their cultivation speed to stagnate. Thus, bloodline was very important. The stronger the bloodline, the more amazing the talent. Lee Tianyun's human bloodline was very poor, but he was very satisfied with his overall performance, so he chose to possess him. Now that everything was ruined, he could only watch from the side, unable to do anything. But he believed that as long as Lee Tianyun succeeded in transcending the tribulation, it would be time for him to suppress him. At that time, he would torture him ruthlessly. Even if the success rate was terrifyingly low, he could at least give it a try. If he failed, he wouldn't lose anything. On the contrary, Lee Tianyun's body would either explode or his soul would directly shatter. Just as he was holding this thought, he stood by the side. Lee Tianyun continued to absorb the power of lightning, madly strengthening the lightning core in his body. Following that, it rapidly became a large planet. Previously, it had already been strengthened significantly. Now that it absorbed the tribulation lightning, it absorbed it even faster. If this continued, when the heavenly tribulation ended, he would definitely be able to condense a thunder planet. At that time, he would be able to obtain 4 planets. He wondered if the next condition for his breakthrough would require 4 planets. If that was really the case, then the threshold for breaking through to the Empyrean Master Stage would be gone. All he needed to do was crazily accumulate experience points. As long as he had enough experience, he could easily break through to become an Empyrean. Just thinking about this made him a little excited. He had reached the Empyrean level so easily. How could he not be excited? As time passed, Tianyun continued to strengthen the landmine planet. Its progress was also increasing rapidly. It had already reached 70%. Not even the crazy tribulation lightning in the sky could cause the slightest bit of damage to the seal. From this, it could be seen how sturdy the sealing formation was. The main reason was that this tribulation thunder followed Tianyun's cultivation as the Lord of Heaven. If it had the same might as it had sent Empyrean Godslayer flying, then this place would have long since exploded. It's almost over. Empyrean Godslayer looked at the tribulation cloud above his head. He could feel that the heavenly tribulation was about to end. In fact, it was just a short while away. At that time, Tianyun would not be able to make a comeback no matter what. He did not believe that Tianyun would have any chance to make a comeback or that there would be some heavenly tribulation to help him resist. The moment he became a divine lord would be the time when Tianyun would be suppressed. Finally, the progress reached 99%. The thunder planet in Tianyun's body had basically taken shape. Thick lightning surged back and forth inside. Its effect was no less than that of the fantasy gold planet. It could be said that it was already equivalent to a rank 4 core. This was tribulation thunder, so its power was naturally extraordinary. It was extremely rare to be able to absorb tribulation thunder and use it as energy to fill up the thunder core. Is the breakthrough successful? Tianyun slowly opened his eyes. Divine lightning surged in his pupils. He was ready to officially break through to become a divine lord. Kaboom! As the last tribulation thunder smashed down and fell on Tianyun's body, the heavenly tribulation was finally over. Tianyun's body was filled with thunder and lightning, and the thunder planet inside his body expanded once again, becoming a real huge planet, far bigger than the other 3 planets. Rumble. At this time, the tribulation cloud made a sound, like a voice of unwillingness, and began to drift around. It did not take Tianyun's life, so naturally it felt a bit unwilling. Ding. Congratulations to player Tianyun for successfully breaking through to Divine Lord Level 1. A clear and melodious voice rang out. He had successfully broken through to the God Monarch Level 1, reaching a whole new realm. Finally, after a lot of twists and turns, he successfully broke through to Divine Lord Level 1. Successfully completed special leveling task, Breakthrough to New Realm. After condensing the 3rd planet, obtained 1000 compression crazy point and 500 compression proficiency. Also obtained the title, Supreme Divine Lord. Supreme Divine Lord. Invincible under Divine Lord Level 1. In the face of a Divine Lord Level 1, combat power increased by 30 times, absolute suppression in terms of realm, can weaken the opponent's power up to 1000%. In the face of Heavenly Lord Level 1, can resist the suppression of Heavenly Lord power, the effect is halved. The title of Supreme Divine Lord did not disappoint him. With only Divine Lord Level 1, he is already completely invincible under Divine Lord Level 1. This means that as long as he faces a Divine Lord, he can be an invincible existence. No matter what kind of genius, as long as they are Divine Lord Level 1, they can be crushed by him. Ding! Successfully accepted the special leveling up mission, Breakthrough to a Higher Realm. After condensing the 5th planet, obtained 10,000 compression crazy point and 5,000 compression proficiency. Also obtained the title, Super Heavenly Lord. Can directly break through to Heavenly Lord without completing, but there is no reward. Once again, a new special leveling task popped up. When he saw that it required 5 planets, he was completely speechless. He thought that 4 planets would be enough, but now it seems that he was too naive and needed 5 planets. Fortunately, he only needed to condense 1 more, and he would be considered to have reached the standard. He has just broken through to Divine Lord level 1, and there is still a lot of experience before he can reach Heavenly Lord level. Chapter 1324. After successfully breaking through, it means that Yi Tianyun will lose the protection of heavenly tribulation. Without the protection of heavenly tribulation, Yi Tianyun's defense will plummet, and he won't be as arrogant as before. Finally past heavenly tribulation, die for me. Death God Heavenly Venerate's eyes were cold, finally giving him this opportunity. He never felt that time will be so long. After waiting for so long, he can finally attack Yi Tianyun. It's really a long time. He stretched out his hand, and the void around Yi Tianyun was immediately locked. Just like before, Yi Tianyun felt that he was imprisoned. Whether it is teleportation or teleportation divine stone, they have lost their effect. He was firmly locked by this powerful force. He can't escape at all. Even if he broke through to Divine Monarch, in front of a middle-level Heavenly Venerate, he is still an ant. Even a lower Empyrean was nothing more than an ant in his eyes. Every step he took was like stepping into the heavens. The disparity between them was astonishing. After being locked, Tianyun did not panic. He still stared at Death God Heavenly Venerate as if he is looking at a fool. You're quite calm. I just don't know if you'll be able to maintain your composure later. Death God Heavenly Venerate sneered. Just when he was about to drag Yi Tianyun over, Tianyun began to erupt with amazing power. Upgrade Crazy Mode. Ding, deducting 100 compressed Crazy Point, successfully upgraded Crazy Mode. The effect is increased to 128 times. Among them, the effect of Crazy Point is increased by 10 times, the effect of Sin Point is increased by 10 times, the effect of taking medicinal pills is increased by 10 times, etc. Every minute consumes 10 compressed Crazy Point. The next level is 1000 compressed Crazy Point. He had leveled up his cultivation just for this moment. If he wants to upgrade Crazy Mode, he needs to be a Divine Monarch. If he doesn't reach Divine Monarch cultivation, he can't upgrade. 100 compressed Crazy Point is not much for him now. If it was before, it is equivalent to 10 billion Crazy Point. It would be absolutely terrifying. But now he can afford it. At least he won't be as poor as before. But for this divine skill, the real difficulty is not the number of Crazy Points, but the cultivation level. If he wanted to upgrade this thing, he couldn't do it unless his cultivation reached a certain level. It firmly restricted him. This is the main reason. If there is no limit, even if it is 1000 Crazy Points, it can still be earned. When the time came, according to the algorithm, it would be 256 times the damage. Just thinking about it was scary. Being able to deal 128 times damage was already quite shocking. Use Crazy Damage Mode. Activate Crazy Damage Mode. After activating it, his damage instantly exploded, and his combat power skyrocketed. 100 million points of star power. 200 million star power points. 300 million star power points. 800 million star power points. 3 billion star power points. 48 billion star power points. It exploded instantly and the damage reached 1. For billion, which was almost 5 billion star power points. His terrifying combat power had already reached a heaven-defying level. He had reached Divine Lord level 1 and his basic combat power was 10 million points of star power. With the addition of 128 times damage, it meant that he had reached 28 billion points of star power. Due to the superposition of other basic values, his combat power directly exploded to 48 billion star power. From a small Divine Lord level, it suddenly exploded to comparable to middle-level Heavenly Master late stage. Of course, this is the effect of basic attributes. Middle-level Heavenly Master is not so bad, but for him, at least he will not be in a state of being sealed. Open! Yi Tianyun roared and stretched his hand to the side, and the seal that sealed him was immediately broken by him. This scene shocked them. How could there be such a terrifying power all of a sudden? After Yi Tianyun broke out, Without hesitation, he rushed in front of Heavenly Master Killer God. The Star Divine Spear instantly appeared in his hand, the divine rune on it immediately burst out, and the dazzling light illuminated the dark place. Die! Lee Yangyun's eyes were like torches. He stabbed the spear at Heavenly Master Killer God. Almost all of his power was poured into this spear. Aiming at Heavenly Master Killer God's head, the power suddenly burst out to the extreme. Heavenly Master Killer God quickly reacted and quickly waved his palm. The aura of a middle-level Heavenly Master erupted, and his combat power soared. In an instant, it rushed to the level of 1.5 billion star power, and it can continue to rise. A middle-level Heavenly Master does not only have 1 billion star power, there is still a lot of power that has not been displayed, and if it really erupts, it cannot be stopped without a few billion. If you really think that it is only a little bit, then you are too naive. Even a lower-level Heavenly Master, without more than 1 billion star power, cannot stop it. Boom! Divine spear against palm. The two collided violently. The dazzling white light and blood-red light formed a collision. The terrifying energy was compressed to the extreme, and finally there was a violent explosion. The two were sent flying, and the venerable spirit on the side was sent flying. Still too slow. Yangyun stabilized his body. He did erupt with a strong power, but compared to Heavenly Master Killer God, he is still too weak. If Heavenly Masters can be crushed so easily, they would not be Heavenly Masters. What a strong power! What is going on? Heavenly Master Killer God was shocked to the extreme. He originally thought that he could knead Yangyun as he pleased, but now Yangyun almost killed him. If not for the fact that his foundation is not weak, if his cultivation is a little weaker, then he would have died just now. He clearly felt that he is a divine lord, but the power that erupts out is even inferior to a lower-level Heavenly Master. If not for the fact that he saw Yangyun transcend the tribulation, he really thought that Yangyun is a very strong Heavenly Master. But this made him feel extremely puzzled. What kind of situation can cause the power to erupt to such a degree? While he was shocked, Yangyun did not stop for a moment. He had already rushed over with the Star Divine Spear, turning into a beam of light that swept over. Yangyun will not give him the slightest chance to catch his breath. When Heavenly Master Killer God comes to his senses, his advantage will be reduced. Even if you become stronger, don't be arrogant in front of me. Heavenly Master Killer God was enraged. With a wave of his hand, the power of the Killer God surged towards him, turning into a blood-red blade in his hand. He aimed at Yangyun and slashed down. Red light split the heavens and earth. Yangyun also aimed his Star Divine Spear at the same time, and the two attacks bombarded each other again, followed by an extreme explosion in the space. Yangyun was sent flying, but Heavenly Master Killer God did not retreat at all. The difference in power was obvious. Now that Heavenly Master Killer God's power has reached 1.8 billion star power, far surpassing Yangyun's 1.5 billion star power, he can naturally repel it. Sure enough, there is still a gap. Chapter 1325. In the battle between the two sides, Yangyun is at a disadvantage. If this continues, he will basically lose. Although combat power wasn't the only deciding factor, it was definitely the most important data. If the difference was too great, the result would be instant death. Any divine skills would be useless. They could only stand aside. Yangyun knew where the problem lay. Hence, he could only take advantage of the enemy's unpreparedness and attack furiously. However, Heavenly Venerable Killer God was indeed an experienced Taoist. Under such explosive power, he was still blocked. You want to kill me with this strength? Heavenly Venerable Killer God's eyes were filled with excitement. I don't know how you have such powerful strength. This will make me even more excited. After I capture you, I will study how you manage to erupt with such power. He flicked his finger and said coldly, Venerable Spirit, attack. Yes, Master. The Venerable Spirit that was sent flying didn't attack Yangyun. Instead, it formed hand seals in the sky and activated the array around it. After it was activated, the power of the array was released one by one, forming a sealing array. It quickly sealed the area so that Yi Tianyun wouldn't have any chance to escape. More importantly, when the array enveloped him, Yi Tianyun felt his power being suppressed. The main effect of the array was to suppress the power of intruders. Under the crazy suppression, Yi Tianyun's power was weakened. From 1.5 billion star power, it dropped to 1.2 billion. This was simply a saber strike that had shaved away so much of his strength. Logically speaking, his title should be able to weaken it, but that was only against heavenly venerables. There was no way to control the power of the array. Seal. The venerable spirit wasn't just that. It formed hand seals quickly and surrounded Yi Tianyun, trying to trap him inside. Yi Tianyun can feel that there are several walls surrounding him and he can't escape. This feeling was the same as before. He couldn't escape easily. From the looks of it, they clearly wanted to capture him alive so that they could do research on him. They wanted to see how his power was unleashed. You want to seal me? Too naive. Yi Tianyun's figure flickered and he vanished from where he stood. As they were still in a daze, a sense of crisis spread out from behind Empyrean Death God. A ruthless strike pierced towards them. Boundless God art, nothingness. The starry divine spear in his hand disappeared, but it didn't really disappear. Instead, wherever it attacked, it would turn into nothingness and devour everything. Empyrean Death God subconsciously moved to block. The power of the Death God enveloped him, colliding with Yi Tianyun's attack. Because it was too sudden, Empyrean Death God was struck. The power of nothingness flowed through his arm and into his body, sending him flying backwards. With a stuffy cough, much of Empyrean Death God's armor collapsed. In particular, a small part of his body was missing and black blood flowed out from the wound. Suddenly, with a miserable scream, Empyrean Death God was sent flying backwards. He rolled on the ground, clutching his head as if he had been struck by some sort of soul attack. Strange, I clearly hit his body, so how can his soul be severely injured? Yi Tianyun could see that Empyrean Death God's soul had been severely eroded. It was impossible for his body to have such a reaction. With their cultivation, let alone being injured, even losing an arm or a leg would be meaningless. They wouldn't even frown, much less cry out in pain. To have such an effect, it must be a soul injury. But he could feel that his attack had been intercepted outside. It shouldn't have been able to injure Empyrean Death God's soul. You actually used Empyrean Vast God's martial arts? You were sent by him? Empyrean Death God barely managed to crawl up. His entire body seemed to collapse and his combat strength plummeted. With his soul injured, no matter how powerful his strength was, he couldn't display it. This was like having a powerful weapon. If you couldn't wield it, then it was meaningless. Now that his soul was injured, his originally domineering combat strength suddenly fell to 1.2 billion star forces, much lower than Yi Tianyun's. No wonder he was injured. It turns out that Empyrean Vast God's attack mark is still on his soul. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. What he used was Empyrean Vast God's technique, which also contained Empyrean Vast God's Empyrean power. This was equivalent to activating the attack mark and spreading its effects. Under this effect, it was the same as Empyrean Death God being struck by Empyrean Vast God, causing his soul to collapse once more. He didn't reply at all. His figure flashed and he rushed towards Empyrean Death God. Take advantage of his weakness. If he didn't grasp this opportunity, then it would be too late once Empyrean Death God reacted. Die! Empyrean Vast God's ultimate technique was displayed once more. Waves of nothingness swept out, enveloping Empyrean Death God. Hurry and stop him! Empyrean Death God shouted as he hurriedly retreated. He wasn't afraid of Yi Tianyun. Even if there were two Yi Tianyun, he wouldn't be afraid. What he was afraid of was Yi Tianyun activating the attack mark in his head. If it truly erupted, then Yi Tianyun would be nothing more than trash. But in the face of Empyrean Vast God's ultimate technique, he was nothing more than trash. A spirit quickly intercepted, wanting to stop Yi Tianyun here. Get the hell out of my way! Yi Tianyun roared. The star god's spear in his hand swept out, sweeping away the spirit that rushed towards him. Against this wild and violent strength, Even a spirit would have to step aside. No matter what, a spirit was only at the lower Empyrean level. The strength that erupted from him right now was absolutely enough to crush a spirit. Under the sweep, the spirit was directly smashed to pieces. Of course, it wouldn't die, but it would quickly reform. But during this process, the spirit wouldn't be able to fight back. Yi Tianyun took advantage of this opening to quickly rush in front of Empyrean Death God and continue to fiercely attack. Empyrean Death God could only brace himself to resist. But this time, the result was different. Under the collision, Empyrean Death God was blasted away once again. He slammed his spear into the wall and was directly flattened. Bastard, bastard, ah! Empyrean Death God screamed. He felt that he was suppressed by a junior, and he really couldn't accept it. But this was reality. What he faced was Empyrean Vast God's power, causing him to be suppressed. He hid here in order to hide from Empyrean Vast God. Who knew that a cultivator with Empyrean Vast God's power would suddenly appear, and he would even be chosen. His soul was injured, so he couldn't exert his previous strength and was in a passive state. It looks like I can kill this Empyrean Death God. Chapter 1326. Yi Tianyun originally didn't have the slightest chance of winning. Even with the terrifying power of 128 times, he still couldn't surpass Empyrean Death God's strength. If he couldn't kill Empyrean Death God, then he could only choose to run away. Fortunately, he had succeeded. But this was only by borrowing the strength of Empyrean Vast Empyrean. Now, Yi Tianyun crazily chased after him. He chased after him like a drowning dog, ruthlessly smashing down with every strike. He didn't wait for Empyrean Death God to catch his breath. Instead, he crazily attacked. He didn't need to be too powerful, he only needed to trigger the attack mark. Once it was triggered, the effects would immediately appear, torturing Empyrean Death God half to death. Were you sent by Empyrean Vast Empyrean? Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Yi Tianyun didn't answer him. Instead, he fiercely attacked, every strike piercing into Empyrean Death God's flesh, smashing apart his body. That fellow Empyrean Vast Empyrean, how did he find this place? Whoosh whoosh whoosh, Tianyun fiercely stabbed at Empyrean Death God, completely ignoring his words. He wanted to kill Empyrean Death God as quickly as possible in order to avoid any accidents. Finally, under the frenzied barrage of attacks, Empyrean Death God's situation became increasingly worse. Even though his recovery was amazing, he still couldn't resist Yi Tianyun's attacks. As the attacks became more and more intense, Empyrean Death God became extremely weak. He seemed much weaker, with only a small part of his body remaining. It was a tragic sight to behold. Your life force is quite tenacious. Die for me. Yi Tianyun aimed at Empyrean Death God's head and stabbed down. No! Empyrean Death God saw that he could no longer avoid this attack. Finally, he could only let out a miserable scream. His head had been nailed to the ground by Yi Tianyun's attack and he could no longer escape. At the same time as he was struck, the attack mark in his head completely lit up. A vast strength burst out from his head, rapidly swallowing him up. Empyrean Vast Empyrean, and you, both of you will die a horrible death. My subordinates will exterminate you all. Empyrean Death God let out a final scream before turning to ashes. At this moment, the venerable spirit was condensed once more. By the time it wanted to intercept them, it was already too late. Once its master died, it would become an ownerless object. Normally, they would either have an independent form and be able to move around with their own intelligence, or they would be forcefully kept as treasures. As long as the other party's cultivation was slightly higher, he would definitely be forcefully acknowledged as his master. Successfully killed Godslayer Heavenly Master. Reward, 570. 000 EXP 5. 000 Crazy Point, 5. 000 SBS. Obtained God-Killing Art, Lower Heavenly Venerable Level, God-Killing Armor, Heavenly Venerable Spiritual Treasure, God-Killing Pearl, Heavenly Venerable Spiritual Treasure, God-Killing Blood, Extremely Rare. Obtained additional reward for leapfrogging kills. You have successfully leveled up by 1 level and obtained the title of God of Slaughter's replacement. Ding! Congratulations to player Itianyan for successfully breaking through to God Monarch level 2. Killing God Substitute. When equipped with this title, the user can release a strong killing intent. When faced with killing intent suppression, the effect is halved. At the same time, he could control the treasures under the Death God throne, including its weapon spirit. Whether it was the experience of the explosion or the title, he was extremely shocked. Especially the EXP, 570. 000 EXP means that his base value is at least 500 points. The rewards obtained from killing an Empyrean were seriously too shocking. Originally, he thought that EXP was difficult to obtain, but now he is going to make a lot of money. As for the title, it can save him a lot of trouble. He can immediately become the master of this place. It is equivalent to changing the master immediately. Master is dead. You actually killed Master. The venerable spirit was dumbfounded. In his opinion, his master was absolutely invincible, but he was killed. It made him feel shocked and angry. He was created by Godslayer Heavenly Venerable. Naturally, he has feelings for Godslayer Heavenly Venerable. Now that his master was killed, of course he is angry. Immediately, he began to fully activate the Great Formation here. Even if he is not as strong as Tianyun, he can still severely injure him. Very loyal, but it is a pity that you met me. Tianyun equipped the title, God of Slaughter's Substitute, and suddenly felt a surge of killing intent in his body, but this killing intent can be controlled. It will not make him chaotic. He raised his hand and pointed at the charging venerable spirit. Stop. The venerable spirit that was about to attack really stopped, unable to move at all. Now that he is the master of this place, he can naturally control this venerable spirit at will. To be able to control an artifact spirit that is comparable to a lower heavenly venerable means that he has an extremely strong fighter. How can this be? How can you control me? The venerable spirit is shocked. He realized that he can't move. It has a sense of absolute obedience to Tianyun, just like how it was with Godslayer Heavenly Venerable. You don't need to know that. Tianyun waved his hand and said indifferently, "Tell me everything that happened. What are you doing?" "Master, we are doing." Then the venerable spirit roughly told him what happened. The overall content is more or less the same as what he guessed. It wants to possess a body. Possessing a good body, in addition to escaping from the suppression of the boundless heavenly venerable, was also to change to a better body to cultivate. The power of the Godslayer Heavenly Venerable is harder to control, so using the more overbearing power of the Golden Mirage has a suppressive effect. For this, the Godslayer Heavenly Venerable even specially made this divine pagoda to attract the surrounding cultivators to be his chosen body. Of course, not everyone who was chosen could be listed as a body to be possessed. Some can become disciples. After all, he also needs more experts by his side to do things for him. A few of the 10 god generals have died, so he naturally needs to replenish them. Who knew that he would meet a malefic existence like Tianyun, who directly killed him? Tianyun also didn't expect to be able to kill a heavenly venerable. He originally wanted to escape, but was coincidentally attacked by the boundless heavenly venerable, so he took advantage of it. As for the hatred between the two of them, it was actually very simple. The boundless heavenly venerable couldn't stand the way Godslayer Heavenly Venerable did things, so he kept on killing and invading. Thus, after fighting with him, the one who finally lost was undoubtedly Godslayer Heavenly Venerable, but the boundless Heavenly Venerable was also injured. But from the looks of it, Godslayer Heavenly Venerable's injuries were more serious, which was enough to show how powerful the boundless Heavenly Venerable was. Chapter 1327. While Tianyun was taking inventory of his harvest, in other areas, there were several powerhouses crazily plundering the cultivators here. They directly captured them in batches and killed those who resisted. "Your Excellency, what did we do wrong? Why do you want to kill us?" "Your Excellency, please let us go. We have nothing. Whatever we want is already placed here. Your Excellency." The residents here begged for mercy one by one, But the other party showed no mercy at all. They grabbed a group of people and swept them into the living ring. Either that or they slaughtered them crazily, not leaving a single one alive. If one observed carefully, those they killed were some old, weak, sick, and disabled people. They showed no mercy when killing. Who said there's nothing? We want your people. These cultivators' faces were filled with killing intent. Their bodies were filled with killing intent. They came here to capture people crazily. As long as they had decent talent, they would quickly capture them. What they wanted was people, not the resources of this place. This place belonged to the ordinary mixed divine realm. The average cultivation was relatively low and resources were even more scarce. On the other hand, plundering resources was a loss-making business, a waste of time. These marauders all had late-stage divine lord cultivation. Each one was very domineering and overbearing. If it wasn't an Empyrean spirit treasure, they wouldn't take a fancy at all. As they were frantically snatching people, a consciousness suddenly surged into their minds. Immediately all of them stopped. Dead? Milord is dead? They were all stunned. The cultivators who were captured in front all looked at them blankly. Some took advantage of their stunned state to quickly flee to the side. Who the hell is it? Who the hell killed our milord? Ah! The three people here screamed. The blood-red broadswords in their hands slashed forward wildly. Countless red lights were released in all directions. Everywhere they passed was sliced into a bloody mist. Screams lingered in the ears. In a short period of time, there wasn't a single cultivator in the surroundings. Whether it was those they didn't want to capture or those they wanted to capture, they were all killed here. He had given up on all his previous goals. After the frenzied slaughter, they quickly calmed down. Let's hurry back and see who killed our milord. Could it be Empyrean Vast Expanse? Wasn't the Vast Empyrean injured as well? Furthermore, milord had taken so many concealment measures. How could he have been discovered? Let's talk after we return. No matter who it is, we must avenge our lord. This group of people were the god generals under Empyrean Godkiller. Each and every one of them was extremely powerful. Some of them had even cultivated to the late-stage god monarch level and were preparing to step into the Empyrean level. They were here to catch some talented ones and throw them into the 10,000 gods pagoda to train so that they would have a suitable physique for possession. Who would have thought that while they were trying to capture it, their lord would die? This infuriated them and they quickly flew towards the 10,000 deities pagoda, not wanting to stay here for even a second longer. They could immediately sense Empyrean Death God's death. The main reason was that Empyrean Death God had made them sign a slave oath. Empyrean Death God didn't believe anyone but himself. Thus, even his divine generals had to make slave oaths in order to be trusted. Under this oath, after Empyrean Death God died, they would immediately sense that their master had died and they would be free. Fortunately, they did not sign a life and death oath. Otherwise, after Empyrean Death God died, they would also die. However, Empyrean Death God wouldn't be so heartless. After all, he was still very concerned about the subordinates he taught. As long as he had the ability, he would vigorously take care of them. The slave oath was only a bridge to build trust. Without this bridge, he wouldn't trust anyone. After all, anyone could betray him. Everyone's heart was hard to fathom. Even an upper Empyrean couldn't fathom a person's heart. One moment, someone might be loyal and devoted to someone, and the next moment, they might stab you in the back. This sort of thing wasn't uncommon. At the same time, Tianyun was taking stock of the various large spaces here to see how many cultivators there were. After a careful count, he discovered that there were several hundred cultivators with decent talent here, undergoing all kinds of trials. Among them, there were more than a dozen half-step Empyreans. One had to say that the god realm was vast and there were countless powerhouses. It was just that despite their hard work, the final result might be possession. One had to say that it was really sad. This feeling was like after working hard for a long time and finally succeeding, the fruit of success was snatched away just like that. Erase all your previous memories of Empyrean Death God and serve me loyally. Idanyun looked at the venerated spirit beside him and ordered. Yes, master. The venerated spirit was a little resistant, But it couldn't resist now. It could only completely erase the previous memories of Empyrean Death God. It was very easy for it to erase memories. Even Yi Tianyun could do it easily. Cultivators had cultivated for many years and encountered many things. There were many miscellaneous memories that didn't need to be remembered. Therefore, it would erase them by itself, leaving behind the memories that it needed the most to perfect its cultivation. After erasing its memories, the venerated spirit's gaze towards Yi Tianyun became extremely respectful. It really didn't remember anything. Yi Tianyun was its true master. Very good. Now, help me throw everyone out of this 10,000 divine pagoda. Yi Tianyun ordered. Yes, master. Immediately, the venerated spirit chased all the cultivators out, including Region Master Glaze. There were no exceptions. All of them were in the midst of the trial, and some were even on the verge of death. Just as their hearts were filled with despair, they suddenly felt weightless. In the next moment, they disappeared from where they were and were all teleported out of the 10,000 divine pagoda. Including the cultivators on the first and second levels, everyone was teleported out. What's going on? I was in the trial just now. Why am I out? Me too. I was so close to passing the trial. Why did I suddenly come out? What a scam. I almost got the treasure. They wanted to cry but no tears came out. They either almost passed or almost got the treasure. At the same time, there were people who were extremely grateful. They almost died in there. Now that they were teleported out, it was equivalent to their lives being saved. How could they not be happy? What's going on? I was teleported out? Region Master Glaze was equally confused. She didn't know why this happened. At the same time, she turned her head to look for Yi Tianyun. However, she couldn't find any trace of Yi Tianyun among the people around her. Just when she thought that something had happened to Yi Tianyun appeared beside her. That's great. I thought you didn't come out. Region Master Glaze saw Yi Tianyun and hurriedly flew over to ask. What's going on? How did I get teleported out all of a sudden? Yi Tianyun was confused. Chapter 1328. Yi Tianyun was not moved out, but chose to come out on his own. With the help of the spirit, he was naturally able to come out easily. Like the other cultivators, he would be moved out so that he could become a victim. That's right. We were all teleported out for no reason at all. I almost passed the trial. At that time, I would have succeeded earlier than you. Glaze Region Master felt that it was a pity. She felt that she almost surpassed Yi Tianyun, but it ended in a tie. Now that she was driven out, it could only be considered a draw. Sister Lu Li's talent is much better than mine. If I give you more time, you will definitely surpass me. Yi Tianyun said with a smile, but he didn't say anything. He didn't want to talk about it. If Glaze Region Master had arrived first, then the result would have been either possession or death. Fortunately, Glaze Region Master didn't arrive before him, otherwise the result would not have been like this. As everyone was talking, the huge statue suddenly moved and stood up. The rumbling sound left the surrounding cultivators dumbfounded. They didn't know what was happening. They saw that after this huge statue stood up, it turned around and flew towards the area in front. With every step it took, it was thousands of miles away from them. This statue was too huge. In fact, it was equivalent to a spirit ship that could quickly fly away from here. This situation wasn't strange. The palaces of powerhouses and the like had already been made into mobile spirit ships. This way, they could leave at any time and wouldn't have to stay here forever. In just a moment, this huge statue disappeared from everyone's sight. They couldn't catch up even if they wanted to. This was an Empyrean spirit treasure. With their ability, how could they possibly catch up? Therefore, it disappeared all of a sudden, disappearing without a trace. Seeing that such a cultivation holy land was gone, everyone sighed and felt that it was quite a pity. It wasn't easy for them to find such a good holy land, but now it was gone. How could they not feel that it was a pity? While everyone was feeling that it was a pity, Tianyun sneered in his heart. If they continued to advance, the only outcome that awaited them would be death. They had been cultivating non-stop, but in the end, it was all for naught. Fortunately, Yi Tianyun had helped to resolve the situation. Otherwise, who knew how long it would take for this place to end? Perhaps it would only end after Empyrean Godslayer succeeded in his possession. However, if one wanted to possess a perfect body, it would take a very long time. It was not that easy to obtain. Even if it was Yi Tianyun's body, it was only because of the overall situation. As for whether or not it could be possessed, it would only be known when the process began. If he failed, he would have to start all over again and wait for a new cultivator to come. The most ideal condition was naturally to cultivate the power of illusory gold, as well as to meet the requirements of all major abilities. Due to the strict requirements, no one had ever succeeded. The failure rate was too high. It's a pity that I won't be able to come here to cultivate in the future. I thought I could become a direct disciple. Regent Master Glaze shook her head. She was still a small step away from becoming an Empyrean, but this small step had been stuck in her path and she couldn't break through. This made her feel very distressed. Perhaps this senior just happened to find a personal disciple that meets his requirements and left immediately? Yi Tianyun explained with a smile. It's possible that someone beat us to it. Once the senior is satisfied, he should leave. Regent Master Glaze felt that it was a pity, but the harvest this time was also not small. Let's go. There's no point in staying here. Yi Tianyun nodded and flew away with the two of them. The rest of the cultivators left one after another. Some chose to stay here to see if the statue would return. Perhaps it was the powerful figure who was taking a walk? After making a round, he would continue to stay here. No matter what their choice was, at least Yi Tianyun left with them. After they left for a while, 3 figures suddenly appeared in the void. When they saw that the place was empty, they were even more dumbfounded. What happened? Lord was killed, and even the 10,000 Gods Pagoda was taken away? They were all shocked. It was not easy to control the 10,000 Gods Pagoda. It would take at least a period of time to completely control it. After all, the artifact spirit was very loyal. Even if its master was dead, it would not be easily subdued. At least a period of suppression was needed before it could be subdued. In their opinion, even if the vast heavenly lord came personally, it would take a period of time to subdue it. Now that they had rushed back and spent less than a few days, the artifact spirit had already been subdued? This speed was simply too fast. It was inconceivable to them. Immediately after, they looked around and quickly saw a cultivator at the side. They rushed over and grabbed the cultivator and lifted him up. Lord, what's the matter? The cultivator who was lifted was shocked. He wanted to resist, but when he felt the strong killing intent and overbearing power of the other party, he did not dare to resist at all. If he resisted even a little, he would definitely die. Especially when the other party's eyes were red, he looked like a lunatic. The rest of the cultivators nearby stood up in shock and looked over. Some hurriedly ran away, while others watched from the side. Perhaps he was here for revenge. If he had no grudge against them, why would he run? Tell me what happened here in detail. The leader was the sacrificial blood god general. His eyes were filled with killing intent, causing their hearts to tremble. Lord, we don't know what happened either. The cultivator was thrown out. We don't know what happened. Bang. This cultivator was thrown out and blasted into a bloody mist. He died immediately. You tell me, the sacrificial blood god general said coldly. I really don't know. I was just thrown out and then stayed here. Boom. This cultivator was blasted into a bloody mist again. Then, he grabbed the next cultivator and interrogated, "What about you?" I felt that we were thrown out. Also, the huge statue has been running for a few days now. We ran away immediately after we were thrown out. There's no one suspicious. It seems like everyone was thrown out. It's probably because the senior is not choosing a direct disciple anymore. The cultivator said a few more words, revealing everything that he could say. That's quite detailed. Then you can die. The sacrificial blood god general killed the cultivator and swept his cold gaze across the surroundings. The surrounding cultivators ran away immediately. How would they dare to stay here any longer? Even after explaining in detail, they were still killed. This was simply a god of death who killed without batting an eye. However, none of them gave chase. The three of them stayed here and looked at each other. It seems like that guy has escaped. We can only continue to investigate. Chapter 1329. Yi Tianyun did not know that the god generals under Heavenly Killer God were searching everywhere, but he could imagine that the god generals under Heavenly Killer God would definitely search for it. After all, Heavenly Killer God was a heavenly venerable, and he had many experts following him. He also had many loyal subordinates. But what did this have to do with him? These god generals could not find him, and no one could find out that he was the culprit. With so many cultivators, what could they find? As for finding the statue, it was extremely difficult. It had to be said that this thing was equivalent to a middle-level heavenly venerable spiritual treasure. Not only could it become bigger, but it could also shrink. Because of this, he quickly shrunk the statue and flew towards the ordinary realm. They would only search in the divine territory, and probably would not think of going to Fanyu. If they really wanted to go to Fanyu, could they find it? From the beginning, it was impossible for them to find it. Unless Yi Tianyun directly put it out for many cultivators to cultivate, they would not be able to find it. Soon, Region Lord Colored Glaze brought Yi Tianyun back to the Heavenly Spring Divine Territory. Although he could not become a personal disciple, he still gained a lot. As soon as they returned, the Glazed Region Lord immediately called for a meeting of all the elders and gathered all the elders. The sudden summons made many elders puzzled, including Yi Tianyun, feel strange. Is it to talk about that special cultivation place? Tianyun guessed that it might be related to the 10,000 Divine Pagoda. After all, so many elders knew about the 10,000 Divine Pagoda, and they would go there to cultivate when they were free. I wonder why Region Lord Colored Glaze has called us here? Elder Go Huang and the others came to report. When they saw Yi Tianyun standing beside Region Lord Colored Glaze, they felt a little strange. Region Lord Colored Glaze was often secretive, but Yi Tianyun was with her, so he naturally felt strange. I mainly want to say two things here. The first is that the heavenly venerable cultivation place we went to previously has disappeared. Don't go there in the future, Region Lord Colored Glaze said. What? All of them were shocked. Many of them had planned to go there and cultivate for a period of time in the near future. For them, that was a place where they could break through to the Empyrean realm. How could it disappear just like that? Following that, the Colored Glaze Region Lord gave a general explanation of what had happened. She told him everything in detail without holding anything back. When they heard that even Yi Tianyun could fight with them, their expressions became strange. How could the Lord of Heaven reach such a high level? Even they couldn't go up easily, but Yi Tianyun could? That's the situation. That senior must have chosen a personal disciple, or felt that there were enough people, so he chose to leave. According to this situation, there is no way for him to continue cultivating. Glazed Region Lord felt that it was a pity, but that was the truth. The other elders all felt that it was a great pity. This was a great cultivation place that could strengthen oneself. How could it be gone just like that? As for the second thing, the Lord of Heaven of Heavenly Clouds has become the Deputy Region Lord of our Heavenly Spring Holy Realm. If I am not here, listen to his orders. The Colored Glaze Region Lord announced such a shocking news that even Yi Tianyun was a little surprised. He didn't expect that he would become a Deputy Region Lord. However, he quickly realized that his cultivation was low, but his overall strength was equal to that of the Colored Glaze Region Lord. Under such circumstances, how could he not be a Deputy Region Lord? If his cultivation was high, he needed to be given a corresponding position. Otherwise, he would easily choose to leave. What? Such explosive news, however, stunned all the elders. No matter how they thought about it, they would never have thought that Yi Tianyun would become a Deputy Region Lord. And he was just a Lord of Heaven. Region Lord, this can't be done. His cultivation is just at the Lord of Heaven. If we let him become a Deputy Region Lord, we will not be convinced. Elder Go Huang hurriedly stood up and said, his position was high, but he still wasn't a deputy region lord. His cultivation was still too low. His cultivation had to be close to that of the colored glaze region lord in order to be qualified to be a deputy region lord. Otherwise, the position would be left empty. Yes, this can't be done. If this gets out, the entire heavenly spring holy realm will be in chaos. All of them tried to persuade the colored glaze region lord to take back her order. They couldn't be so reckless. The Lord of Heaven's cultivation? If I say that his overall strength is already comparable to mine, and some of his abilities are even stronger than mine, do you think it's appropriate for him to take this position? The colored glaze region lord stared at them and said, "The Lord of Heaven's cultivation is already comparable to a region lord?" They were dumbfounded. They couldn't imagine that Tianyun had such strength. The Lord of Heaven had the power of a half-step heavenly venerable. Was this a joke? Region Lord, actually, I have already broken through to the divine monarch realm. Tianyun smiled modestly. After breaking through to the divine monarch realm, his ability to hide became stronger. Moreover, the colored glaze region lord thought that he was still the Lord of Heaven, so she didn't probe too much. Who knew that he had broken through to the divine monarch realm? You've broken through to the divine monarch realm? The colored glaze region lord was surprised. It seems that this training was not bad. It helped you break through to the divine monarch realm. Our heavenly spring holy realm will have another expert. The elders looked at each other. In the end, Elder Go Huang stood up and said, "Region Lord, we still don't believe this. If he really has such strength, we are willing to let him be the deputy region lord. If he doesn't, we won't be convinced." Is that so? How will you be convinced? The colored glaze region lord wasn't surprised. If it were her, she would have the same thought. It's simple. He just needs to fight with me. As long as he can defeat me easily, we will admit it. Elder Go Huang said sternly. If he can tie with me or surpass me slightly, we won't be convinced. The colored glaze region lord could easily crush them. If he couldn't do that, how could they be convinced? The colored glaze region lord turned to look at Tianyun and smiled. I almost forgot to ask, are you willing to be our deputy region lord? That's exactly what I want. Tianyun smiled and stood up. Since Elder Go Huang has said so, we will fight according to your rules. If I can't defeat him in one move, I will step down from the deputy region lord position. Only one move could prove that his strength was domineering enough. Otherwise, it would be hard to convince the others. Alright, Elder Go Huang said in a low voice. At first, I wanted to say within 3 moves. Since you are so confident, let's bet on one move. Chapter 1330. Tianyun already knew that such a situation would occur. When Region Lord Colored Glaze mentioned that he wanted to be the Deputy Region Lord, he knew that he would face such a problem. Unless he had always been prestigious, it would be a matter of course. Otherwise, it would be like Tianyun, who needed to prove his strength. Immediately, an area was set aside for the two of them to fight. The other elders were watching from the side. They didn't know Tianyun's true strength, but they didn't know if he was as strong as Lu Li Domain Lord said. Elder Go Huang, are you ready? Tianyun said in a deep voice. I am ready. Come on. Elder Go Huang said as he released all the strength in his body to form an absolute defense on the surface of his body. Layer after layer of thick defense spread out. He didn't need to counterattack. All he needed to do was to defend. Therefore, he displayed his strongest defense. Layers of blue light appeared on the surface of his body. It was actually a thick wall of water. Most of the elders had water attribute physiques. Therefore, they displayed water attribute energy and believed in the power of the water god. After the explosion, a huge shadow appeared behind him. It was the water god. Elder Go Huang, who was at the peak of the 7th level of the divine monarch realm, displayed all of his strength. Powerful energy was released circle after circle, forming an impenetrable defense. Elder Go Huang's cultivation of the water god technique has improved again. From the looks of it, the power that he can unleash is already comparable to the defense of a high-grade heavenly way armor. Together with his own strength, I dare not say that he's invincible. Even the glazed region lord wouldn't be able to destroy him so easily. Not bad. I didn't expect Elder Go Huang to improve so much. I haven't seen him for a while and he has already cultivated to such a level. It seems that even Region Lord Colored Glaze wouldn't be able to break through it in one move. Sir God Tianyun is doomed. It would have been the most suitable if we followed the previous 3 moves. All along, the 3 moves have been exactly the right move, no more, no less. This kind of move could give him a way out, but who knew that Tianyun would immediately accept it? This was a little too arrogant. The Region Lord of Glazed Region watched from the side, expressionless. She didn't think there was anything wrong with this. Tianyun looked up and down at Elder Go Huang's defense and nodded repeatedly. His defense is indeed amazing. If it's used as an attack, the effect would be even more amazing. Elder Go Huang was indeed the strongest elder apart from the Glaze Region Lord. His standard was quite high. It seemed that he had broken through again. At his age, it was indeed rare and precious. Some people could not continue to break through in their entire lives. It was indeed very rare for him to be able to break through again. He didn't attack immediately. This wasn't a battle of life and death. If it was a battle of life and death, he definitely wouldn't let his opponent prepare for so long. He probably didn't even have time to gather his strength before he was instantly killed by him. Now, he was waiting for Elder Go Huang to slowly prepare, and when he released all of it, he would ruthlessly attack and destroy it. Only then would he be able to achieve the best effect. Now, you can attack. Elder Go Huang frowned when he saw that Tianyun wasn't in a hurry to attack. Even if he was so confident in himself, he didn't need to give him so long to prepare, right? Alright, then I will break your defense in one move. Tianyun's eyes flickered. He didn't use any weapons. He just took a step forward and released the power of the Supreme God Lord title towards Elder Go Huang. Instantly, Elder Go Huang felt that he was being suppressed. His strength was reduced by more than half and the defense around him was reduced by a lot. It was as if a thick wall had been ruthlessly beaten until only a thin layer was left. It looked very pitiful. It could be said that the originally strong defense had been cut in half. This meant that the attack that could block a half-step Heavenly Venerable couldn't even be blocked by a level 5 Godlord. This was just suppression in terms of aura. Elder Go Huang was astonished to have such an effect. The other elders and the Region Lord Colored Glaze found it strange. Why didn't the defense become stronger, but weaker instead? As Tianyun didn't target them, they naturally didn't feel anything different. They all felt that it was strange. Why did Elder Go Huang's defense become weaker? While they were confused, Tianyun has already made his move. There is no amazing speed, there is no amazing explosive power. All of a sudden he rushed in front of Elder Go Huang and directly punched him. Ding! The opponent is at the level of a God Lord. Activate damage amplification of 30 times. Boom! The instantaneous amplification made his fist incomparably sharp. The 30 times damage was stacked and the power was completely unleashed. When the fist came into contact with the shield, it immediately shattered it. It turned into a bunch of energy light spots and drifted in all directions. It was easily smashed. It was like smashing through a thin shell of water droplets. Then, the domineering fist smashed towards Elder Go Huang. Elder Go Huang subconsciously raised his hand to block. However, Tianyun's fist had already stopped. Elder Go Huang, I wonder if this is enough? Tianyun's fist didn't go down. If it really went down, Elder Go Huang would definitely be seriously injured. They were all on the same side. There was no need to go to such an extent. The fact that he could easily break through the defense proved everything. Elder Go Huang was stunned. There was a look of disappointment in his eyes. I lost. He didn't expect that he would lose so completely. In just one exchange, his overall strength was reduced. He didn't know what happened. It was so easy to break through and he was completely defeated. He knew that the moment his strength was reduced by more than half, he had already lost. He didn't know what method Tianyun used to do it. However, he knew that if he could do this, he would definitely lose. Lost? Everyone was shocked. They didn't understand what happened. His defense was so strong. How could it be broken so easily? It was like drinking water. He didn't even display an exciting fight and it was already over. Lioli Region Master's beautiful eyes flickered. She didn't expect Lee Tianyun to do it so easily. Previously, she guessed that Lee Tianyun would definitely be able to finish him in one move. However, she didn't expect it to be so easy. As expected, after breaking through, his cultivation is so much stronger. How did he do it? Lioli Region Master wanted to keep Lee Tianyun by her side. After witnessing his strength, how could she bear to let him go? She originally thought that Lee Tianyun would become cannon fodder in the divine domain. Now, it seemed that he wasn't cannon fodder. He was definitely one of the best. Chapter 1331. After Lee Tianyun showed his power, all of them felt very obedient, and there was no longer any dissatisfaction. He's too strong. I have never seen such overbearing power. I don't believe that he has just broken through to Sir God realm. That's right. Just how did he cultivate? How many years has it been since he joined us? He has already broken through to Sir God realm. That speed is too ridiculous. If he really is at Sir God realm, his power is comparable to a half-step heavenly venerable. This kind of power, I'm afraid only the top bloodlines and reincarnation can achieve it, right? There were people like Lee Tianyun who could defeat opponents at a higher level than him, but they had to be extremely heaven-defying. The bloodline must be one of the most overbearing ones, and then there was reincarnation. For example, the reincarnation of a heavenly venerable. That explained why his cultivation broke through so quickly. But what did Lee Tianyun have? Human bloodline. Just this point alone was enough to sentence him to death. If his bloodline was not good, then his talent was not good. If his talent was not good, then how could he fly? In fact, he had already flown to the sky. Moreover, he was at a heaven-defying level. He had hung Elder Go Huang up and beaten him. If they fought to the death, Elder Go Huang would really die here. You've made another breakthrough in your cultivation base. Looks like if I were to fight you, I'm afraid I'll lose. Glaze Region Lord shook her head. How about this? You can be the Region Lord, and I will be the Deputy Region Lord. No, you can't. The other elders jumped in fright. They hurried over and told Glaze Region Lord not to act rashly. This was a big deal. Undeniably, Lee Tianyun was strong. However, the difference in prestige between them was like heaven and earth. Lee Tianyun jumped too fast, which would easily cause dissatisfaction. It was acceptable to be the Deputy Region Lord, but the real Region Lord was different. The entire Heavenly Spring region was under his control. Region Lord, this joke is not funny. Lee Tianyun shrugged helplessly, indicating that she should stop joking. I am not joking, Glaze Region Lord said seriously. Region Master Glaze's expression was solemn as she said, the Divine Realm War is coming soon. If anything happens to me, I hope that you will be the next Region Master. Her expression was extremely serious. It didn't seem like she was joking at all. Once the Battle of God's Domain began, this place might very well be affected. Once she was affected, she would have to fight or she might die. This wasn't a joke. They had to announce this matter in advance, lest they become leaderless in the event of an accident and no one would be able to control it. Territorial Lord, let's not talk about the future for now, shall we? Even if that's the case, Elder Go Huang can take on the role. Lee Tianyun strongly recommended Elder Go Huang. He really wasn't good at this aspect. For example, he didn't really manage the forces in the three realms. Everything was handed over to Shi Shuayun. He was an absolute hands-off boss. Now, the position of Domain Lord was probably more or less the same. He definitely wouldn't manage anything. I will now appoint you as the next Region Master. There's no need to say anything else. Region Master Glaze waved her hand. She didn't want to continue this topic. Normally, the Region Master could decide on the next Region Master. Unless all the elders strongly opposed it, it might not be approved. The rest of the elders looked helpless, but they didn't say anything. Region Master Glaze had always been cautious. Since she said so, they could only choose to agree. Elder Go Huang shook his head and didn't say anything. He would obey Region Master Glaze's orders. This. Yi Tianyun looked at Region Master Glaze's expression and finally nodded without saying anything. He knew that it was useless to say anything now. Region Master Glaze wouldn't change his mind. Hence, he could only choose to agree. After the appointment was made, the news immediately spread and caused an uproar. A deputy region master suddenly appeared, and he was very famous. He was Yi Tianyun, who shone brilliantly in God Creation Palace. Now, not only had his cultivation increased to Sir God, but he had also become a deputy region master. This shocked them. Especially the people in God Creation Palace, they were all shocked by the situation. Their own junior brother had become a deputy region master just like that. When they met in the future, should they address him as deputy region master or junior brother? It would definitely be the former. Flaming Lotus Lord of Heaven and the rest definitely wouldn't dare to call him junior brother. Soon, the elders went about their own business, leaving Yi Tianyun and Region Master Glaze behind. Sister Glaze, you're putting me in a difficult position. It's hard to convince the masses. Yi Tianyun didn't mind agreeing to it. He just didn't want to convince the masses. Of course I know that. But in times of chaos, the strongest cultivator can truly convince the masses. Moreover, I've seen your ability. You have a strong cohesiveness. In times of crisis, you can definitely lead the masses. Region Master Glaze said seriously. Previously in 10,000 Gods Pagoda, Yi Tianyun had been helping her. Just this alone made her feel touched. All right, but I don't think that will happen. I won't die, and Sister Glaze won't die either. Yi Tianyun's tone was firm. He definitely wouldn't die, and neither would Region Master Glaze. He had many ways to ensure that Region Master Glaze wouldn't die. There was no need to worry. It's great to have a younger brother like you. Region Master Glaze patted his shoulder and smiled. All right, do what you need to do. I just came out of 10,000 Gods Pagoda, so I need to meditate in seclusion. She had gained a lot this time. She might be able to use this opportunity to break through to Heavenly Venerable rank. Yi Tianyun nodded and didn't say anything else. He bid farewell to Region Master Glaze. After leaving, Yi Tianyun came to his own cultivation place. With a shift of his body, he disappeared on the spot. The next moment, he appeared in 10,000 Gods Pagoda. Welcome back, Master. The honored spirit said respectfully. Very good. How far are we from the evil spirit's celestial territory now? Yi Tianyun asked. We'll be there in a few more days, the honored spirit said respectfully. A few more days? Yi Tianyun looked at the endless void in front of him and sneered. Then let the evil spirit's celestial territory live for a few more days. When the time comes, I'll use 10,000 Gods Pagoda to suppress them ruthlessly and leave none alive. The place where 10,000 Gods Pagoda was headed was not Fanyu, but directly to the evil spirit's celestial territory. This 10,000 Gods Pagoda could fight. If it turned into a giant and stomped down, what would not be trampled into nothingness? It was also a heavenly venerable spiritual treasure, so it had no problem suppressing the evil spirit's celestial territory. Chapter 1332. The 10,000 Divine Pagoda could become big or small, but he could not put it into his space. Similarly, he could not put it into his inventory. The main reason was that this was a middle-level heavenly venerable spiritual treasure. Its grade was too high, and he could not put it into his space at all. He could control it, but controlling it and putting it into his inventory were two different things. At most, he could only hold it in his hand, but he could not directly put it into his storage space or his inventory. This was the first time such an accident had happened. Previously, his inventory could be put in anything, even the core. At present, it seemed that there was only one possibility, and that was that the level of the inventory was limited, and he needed to upgrade it. However, heavenly venerable spiritual treasures could also be put in, but those were lower-level heavenly venerable spiritual treasures. It was difficult to put in middle-level heavenly venerable spiritual treasures. Of course, this was not a big problem. It was about the same anyway. A few days passed in the blink of an eye. Yi Tianyun soon arrived near the evil spirit divine realm. At this time, he came out of the 10,000 divine pagoda and transformed into an evil spirit puppet. This way, he could easily sneak in. It was very simple to break in from the door, but he preferred to start disintegrating from the inside. If he destroyed the most important places first, he would definitely be able to ruthlessly destroy their morale. "Welcome back, Sir Divine Son." When they saw Yi Tianyun return, they were all extremely respectful. They could recognize him, so they naturally knew. Especially Yi Tianyun, who had shown brilliantly in the end, was still very famous in the evil spirit divine realm. Yi Tianyun nodded and observed the situation here at the same time. It had to be said that ever since he caused trouble last time, they had been in a constant and tense search. Even if they complained, they could only continue patrolling obediently to prevent any unforeseen events from happening. However, after searching for so many years, they still could not find anything. The search teams that searched bit by bit were going crazy. After searching for so long, why did they still not find anything? Could it have really escaped? Yi Tianyun strode through the teleportation array and directly arrived at the important city of the evil spirit divine realm, the Dark Divine Palace. This was not where the evil spirit divine realm lord lived, but it was the second most important stronghold. This was because there was a gigantic grade 3 dark core here. Many geniuses stayed here to cultivate, and only those who were inner sect disciples could come here to cultivate. The main reason he came here was to eliminate the elites of the elites. No matter what, he was alone, so it was impossible for him to kill all the evil spirit race in the evil spirit realm. He could only try his best to stop them and kill as many as he could. For this reason, he had set up a trap in advance, which was to let the Overlord of Stars bring a bunch of underlings to attack. With the help of so many underlings, he would definitely be able to reap a huge harvest. As for the other god generals, when Yi Tianyun thought of this, the corner of his mouth curled up into a sneer. This time, everything was ready. Whether or not they could completely exterminate the evil spirit race here depended on their cooperation. Very soon, Yi Tianyun arrived near the Dark Divine Hall. He chose a secluded area and threw the 10,000 gods pagoda out without hesitation. Then, his entire body disappeared into it. "Open up!" Yi Tianyun gestured for the venerable spirit to control the 10,000 gods pagoda to become bigger. He could not control it, so he could only control it through the venerable spirit. His cultivation was too low, so there was a limit to how much he could control a heavenly venerable spirit treasure. He had to have the power of a heavenly venerable. His heavenly energy was very strong, but the power of a heavenly venerable was not very good. At most, he could only store a little. It was insignificant when he used it, so it would not be able to last for too long. Immediately, the 10,000 gods pagoda suddenly increased in size, turning into a giant that could hold up the sky. Its huge body was comparable to an incomparably huge planet. The group of evil spirit race did not even have time to react to the sudden change. The 10,000 gods pagoda fiercely stomped down on the Dark Divine Hall. Boom! The terrifying energy smashed heavily on the Dark Divine Hall, and the overbearing power of magic gold seeped in wave after wave, destroying a large area of the Dark Divine Hall. Most of the elite evil spirit race did not even have time to react before they were trampled into meat paste. Although the 10,000 gods pagoda controlled by the venerable spirit could not be used to its full potential, it at least had the power of a heavenly venerable. A heavenly venerable stomped down fiercely. The Dark Divine Hall was not destroyed, but a lot of it was destroyed. Ding! Successfully killed evil spirit race, Lord of Heaven 7th layer, gained experience. Ding! Successfully killed evil spirit race, God Monarch 1st layer, gained experience. A bunch of information popped up, dazzling Yi Tianyun. It can be said that a lot of experience exploded in an instant. Compared to the experience that he needed to level up now, it is still a little less, but at least it is there. Use 100 times experience card, 200 times experience card, 20 times crazy point card. He threw out all kinds of experience cards. Now that he is killing evil spirit race on a large scale, how can he miss this opportunity to earn experience? As for the consumption of crazy point, it is really insignificant compared to the number of evil spirit race. Heavens, what's going on? Why did a statue suddenly appear here? When the evil spirit race in the distance saw the situation here, his heart trembled. He did not know what happened, but the dark divine hall was destroyed. If this continues, the dark divine hall will definitely be destroyed. This dark divine hall is really hard. It can't be destroyed even after so long. The divine rune is really hard. Tianyun did not stay for too long. He let the venerable spirit control the myriad gods' pagoda and immediately flew to other planets to continue the crazy destruction. The planet did not explode, but this is not the point. He just needs to kill as many evil spirit races as possible. The evil spirit race is the key. If all the planets are destroyed, then he needs to control it personally. The power of a lower-level heavenly lord is very strong here, but it does not mean that it is absolutely invincible. After all, this is a grade 3 god domain. The defense in all aspects is naturally not too bad. If he wants to destroy it, it will take a few hours, and when a bunch of experts come, he will not be able to continue destroying it. Immediately, he quickly went to destroy other planets. There are many planets nearby, and with a stomp of the myriad gods' pagoda, the planets all exploded. Not all planets are as hard as the dark divine hall, and now he is stepping on one of them. It is very easy to destroy it. With 2 or 3 stomps, the planet directly exploded. Run away, run away. This guy wants to kill us. Run quickly. When the evil spirit race in the distant planets saw the tragedy here, they all ran away. But before they can run too far, the myriad gods' pagoda has already stepped on them, and another group of evil spirit race was killed. Chapter 1333. The evil spirit race had always been suppressing other races with their strength. Although the other races were very dissatisfied with the evil spirit race, they did not have the strength to take revenge. They had organized many cultivators to take revenge, but they all died. It was not without reason that the evil spirit race was so arrogant. There were many experts, and unless they were heaven-defying experts, the evil spirit race was not afraid at all. In addition, the evil spirit race did not provoke powerful god realms. For example, they would not provoke third-grade god realms. They would only plunder second-grade god realms. Therefore, the god realms that were plundered could only swallow their anger. Even if they went to third-grade god realms for help, the other party would not help. The evil spirit realm had some relationship with fourth-grade god realms, so why would they seek revenge from the evil spirit realm? Moreover, even if they did not, third-grade god realms would not dare to fight with each other unless they had no other choice. The damage caused by fighting was too serious, so they would not fall out with each other. After all, even if they won in the end, the outcome would still be tragic. Unless they had absolute strength, no one would dare to do so. Boom! Explosions rang out incessantly, exploding crazily in the vicinity. Planets were destroyed by the 10,000 divine pagoda, and the evil spirit race suffered countless casualties. In less than a short while, the 10,000 divine pagoda had already destroyed 7 or 8 planets, and the number of evil spirit race that had been destroyed was quite shocking. The 10,000 divine pagoda could not be teleported, but its flying speed was extremely shocking, and it could cross an area in the blink of an eye. For example, if it was a normal divine lord flying to the evil spirit realm, it would take at least a few weeks or even a few months to reach. If it was the 10,000 gods pagoda, the speed would be extremely shocking. It only took a few days for them to reach the evil spirit's celestial realm. Who are you? At this moment, a furious roar came from afar. The void was filled with energy fluctuations, and the nearby life forms were affected. Immediately, the evil spirit realm lord appeared in Tianyun's sight. When he saw the situation nearby, he was about to explode with anger. The previous situation had not calmed down yet, so why did this statue appear? When Tianyun saw the evil spirit realm lord charging over, he found it extremely funny. "I've been waiting for you." He did not continue to destroy. Instead, he directly flew up and fought with the evil spirit domain lord. He would kill the evil spirit domain lord first and stop the rest for the time being. When the evil spirit territory lord saw the giant statue rushing over, he was stunned. His face sank as he said, "Heavenly Venerate Godslayer, what is the meaning of this? Why did you suddenly come to destroy my forces? Have you forgotten that we are allies?" The 10,000 Gods Pagoda did not care about the evil spirit domain lord's words. It attacked ferociously, and its huge fists smashed down like a planet. Even the void was about to be smashed. Damn it! The evil spirit region lord quickly erupted with all of his power. His originally small body immediately grew larger. 4 wings appeared on his back and spread out to the side. Releasing the energy in his body to the maximum, he took out the forbidden black screen and threw it forward, immediately sealing a large area in front of him so that the 10,000 Gods Pagoda could be enveloped. Boom! Under the violent vibration, the evil spirit territory lord was slightly bounced back, and the 10,000 deities pagoda did not have much of an advantage. An artifact spirit was an artifact spirit after all, not a cultivator. It could not exert the full effect and could only unleash a small part of it. Just a small part could barely be on par with the evil spirit territory lord. It showed how amazing the power of this middle-level heavenly venerate spirit treasure was. Interesting. I didn't expect them to be allies. Itianyun did not expect to hear some secrets. Heavenly Venerate Godslayer and the evil spirit territory lord had something going on. It could be seen that their relationship was not ordinary. He immediately recognized that this was the treasure of Heavenly Venerate Godslayer. As a hiding treasure, it meant that their relationship was not shallow if he knew it even like this. Itianyun did not let the 10,000 Gods Pagoda stop. Instead, he continued to attack crazily. Damn it! Heavenly Venerate Godslayer, come out! What is the meaning of this? The evil spirit territory lord was so angry that he was about to explode. They were clearly allies, so why did he suddenly attack? As he shouted, he kept resisting. There was even a suppressive force in it. An artifact spirit was an artifact spirit after all. It was inferior to a true heavenly venerate in all aspects. Looks like there's no way to kill him. Itianyun was not surprised. The 10,000 Gods Pagoda seemed overbearing, but that was only for divine lords. It did not have much of an advantage for heavenly venerates. Unless Itianyun broke through to heavenly venerate and used it, he would not be able to exert its full strength. Of course, if he broke through to heavenly venerate, this evil spirit territory would basically be equivalent to trash. Just think about it. What if he broke through to heavenly venerate level? That kind of explosive power would definitely crush everything. Although the 10,000 Gods Pagoda could not kill him, it did not mean that he could not kill him. Following that, Itianyun flew out of the 10,000 Gods Pagoda and appeared in the sight of the evil spirit territory lord. "It's you!" The evil spirit territory lord immediately felt a familiar aura. How could he forget this aura? Whether it was before or now, he had been looking for this aura. He did not expect to see it here. "That's right, it's me." Itianyun smiled faintly. "Where's your helper? Why didn't he come this time?" The previous evil spirit territory lord did not appear, so he was not in a hurry to make a move. What if the previous evil spirit territory lord escaped after killing the evil spirit territory lord? "Why did you come out of heavenly venerate Godkiller's treasure? Is he your master?" The evil spirit territory lord's face darkened. He did not think that heavenly venerate Godkiller was already dead. Heavenly venerate Godkiller was much more powerful than them. To kill heavenly venerate Godkiller, one would need to be at least at the late stage middle heavenly venerate level, or even at the upper level heavenly venerate level. It could be said that it was quite difficult to kill. When he saw Itianyun, he thought that he was heavenly venerate Godkiller's disciple or something, and that he had come to take revenge. "That's right, he is my master. Now, my master has sent the 10,000 Gods Pagoda to suppress you and seek justice for me." Itianyun simply admitted it. It was not bad to let heavenly venerate Godkiller take the blame. If he could fight a few times with heavenly venerate Godkiller's divine generals, it would be even more delightful. "I didn't expect you to really be heavenly venerate Godkiller's disciple. How did our evil spirit celestial realm provoke you? Besides, we are allies. If there's anything, we can discuss it. What do you mean by directly attacking? Even if we do something disadvantageous to you, you can state your conditions. Whoever provoked you, I will take him out alone and let you deal with him. The evil spirit territory lord quickly calmed down. He was not in a hurry to make a move. He was still very cautious when facing heavenly venerate God-killer. He was very angry before and he was very angry now, but he did not dare to casually explode. Chapter 1334. The evil spirit region lord was not a lunatic, nor was he a fool. He knew what kind of power he had to face. Therefore, even if Tianyun killed his wife and children, he had to consider heavenly venerate God-killer behind him. Anger was anger, but everything needed to be discussed. He did not want to offend heavenly venerate God-killer. As a God-killer, just the name alone was enough to tell how domineering he was. Actually, someone did provoke me, and there are quite a few of them. Tianyun said with a smile. Who is it? Tell me. The evil spirit region lord suppressed the anger in his heart. He wanted to see who was so blind to provoke God-killer's disciple, causing the current situation to turn out like this. This made him extremely angry. For example, you and the entire evil spirit race have provoked me. Tianyun smiled and flicked his finger. The 10,000 divine pagoda immediately continued to attack the planets at the side, ignoring him. You're messing with me. The evil spirit region lord roared angrily. You're just looking for trouble. You killed so many of my people. Even if you're God-killer's disciple, you must die. The next moment, Tianyun felt a terrifying power behind him. It was undoubtedly heavenly venerate Fei Ti's sneak attack. The evil spirit region lord had originally planned to shake hands and make peace, but Tianyun's excessive request made him furious. Heavenly venerate Fei Ti, who had been hiding at the side, could not help but immediately attack him. This time, it was a fatal attack instead of capturing him alive. How could they swallow their anger after killing so many of their people? Even if it was heavenly venerate God-killer, they were not afraid, especially since the alliance broke the agreement first. Since that was the case, they also shed all pretenses of cordiality. I'm waiting for you. Tianyun laughed loudly. The starry divine spear immediately appeared in his hand. Instead of running away, he directly charged at heavenly venerate Fei Ti. At this moment, the crazy damage mode was immediately used. 128 times the strength was directly stacked on top of the dragon god bloodline. It could be said that all the strength was stacked on top of each other. Heavenly venerate Fei Ti was a late-stage lower heavenly venerate powerhouse. If he did not take him seriously, it would be difficult to kill him. This was especially so when he had faced her just now. He needed to make use of the other party's relaxed state of mind to deal with her. Therefore, the two of them decided to use the same old method. They first sealed the surrounding space, and then didn't use their strongest attacks. From their point of view, Tianyun's strength was still the same as before, and he could not pose any threat to them. Hence, they did not use their full strength, only using half of it. After all, what Tianyun had shown previously was that he was very good at escaping. As for his combat strength, it could only be said that he was very strong. However, he was still far from being a heavenly venerate. While they were still harboring such thoughts, Tianyun had already unleashed his full strength. The explosive power of a god monarch level 2 cultivation could still slay gods. Boom! A beam of rainbow light burst forth, tearing apart the surrounding void and filling up their eyes. Heavenly venerate Fit was alarmed, and a sense of danger welled up in his heart. After years of struggling on the edge of life and death, he knew that he was in danger. Immediately he unleashed his full strength in order to defend against this powerful attack. However, it was all too late. Tianyun's attack had already arrived. The double-speed bloodline stacked together was enough to surpass heavenly venerate Fit. Die! The dazzling starry divine spear had already pierced through his body. The power that had just erupted was now pouring out through the wound. It was as if a dam had collapsed, and floodwaters were pouring out in torrents. How did you? Hyun did not give him a chance to speak. He followed the energy that was pouring out and spun rapidly, making use of this chaotic energy to detonate. Boom! Accompanied by an earth-shattering explosion, the energy swept out in all directions, smashing the surrounding rocks into smithereens. The sturdy void was also smashed layer by layer. It was as if the end of the world had arrived, and everything began to be destroyed. Master! The evil spirit domain lord screamed. He was scared out of his wits. He had not expected that his master would die. He could not forget this familiar energy. It was his master's aura. Lee Tianyun quickly retreated and looked at the place where the explosion happened. At the same time, the system's voice sounded. Successfully killed Heavenly Venerate Fit. Obtained 58,000 compressed EXP, 3,000 compressed Crazy Point, 3,000 compressed Sin Value. Obtained Taboo Black Curtain, lower level Heavenly Venerate Spirit Treasure, Evil Spirit Bloodline, Rare, Evil Spirit Divine Record, High Grade Heavenly Dao Level, Evil Spirit Divine Realms Secret Room Control. Leapfrog Kill, bonus 500 compressed Crazy Point, 500 compressed Sin Value. After successfully killing Heavenly Venerate Fit, Lee Tianyun received a lot of rewards. Especially with up to 500 to 600 times the EXP card, Lee Tianyun received almost 60,000 compressed EXP. But he was not as strong as Killer Heavenly Venerate. The experience he got was crazy. Lee Tianyun didn't even use the EXP card, but the effect he got was already better than Heavenly Venerate Fit. Not bad, the experience I got is really good. Lee Tianyun's eyes flashed. He had to say that the value was quite impressive. It made him very satisfied. You killed my master. Even if you are Killer Heavenly Venerate's disciple, you are dead. Evil Spirit Domain Lord roared. His eyes were bloodshot. Lee Tianyun didn't know how long he had been using his full strength. The four wings behind him were constantly absorbing the dark energy around him, greatly enhancing his strength. He has gone all out. Even his soul bloodline was ignited, so his combat power skyrocketed. Under the rising layer by layer, the value kept jumping in front of Lee Tianyun's eyes. This guy is really going all out. Tianyun grinned and said, "Oh, it seems that you evil spirit race still have a bit of humanity? I thought you are all indifferent people, whether it is your own family or others, you are indifferent. But it seems that you have personally experienced how sorrowful it is for friends and family to die. You evil spirit race deserve to die for occupying so many territories and killing so many races. Now is the time to punish you." Lee Tianyun doesn't say how righteous he is. At least the evil spirit race offended him. The danger of the three realms is still vivid in his mind. He almost died there. They are all a bunch of garbage, including you. Evil Spirit Domain Lord stretched out his hand and increased his power to the extreme. He looked at Lee Tianyun coldly and said, "Don't run if you have the ability, fight me to the death." Chapter 1335. The wrath of the evil spirit territory lord made him erupt without holding back. When all his power poured out too, 3 billion star power points shot out. This is the standard that a heavenly venerable should have. Tianyun thought of the tragic heavenly venerable godkiller. If he hadn't used the vast heavenly venerable's attack imprint, the power that erupted would probably have been more than 3 or 4 billion star power points. At that time, it was really much stronger than the current evil spirit territory lord's full power. The two were not on the same level, but under the suppression of the vast heavenly venerable godkiller died in vain. From the beginning to the end, he did not erupt with his full power until he died with hatred. A powerful upper-level heavenly venerable, who had the power of a middle-level heavenly venerable even when seriously injured, was suppressed by an existence that barely reached the power of a heavenly venerable. Just thinking about it made him feel vexed. It was really a tragic death. What he was facing now was the power of a true heavenly venerable, which proved that the power of a heavenly venerable was extremely great. For example, Lee Tianyun was currently a second-level divine lord, but his base value was only 13 million star power points. If he did not use crazy mode, he could only erupt with 70 to 80 million star power points at most. The difference was too great. An ordinary low-level heavenly venerable could casually erupt with a combat power of 1 billion. That was the difference. It was not that a heavenly venerable was too weak, but that heavenly venerable godkiller had become too vexed after being suppressed. Don't worry, I won't run this time. I will fight you fair and square. Just nice, I also want to try and see what effect I can suppress. Tianyun grinned, his eyes filled with excitement. Previously, he had either won by suppressing power or by sneak attacks. Now, he was fighting a heavenly venerable head-on. No one would believe that a divine lord could fight a heavenly venerable. They would only feel that it was like throwing an egg against a rock and overestimating one's capabilities. Now, he wanted to be that overestimating one's capabilities person. Very good. I don't know how you have such great power, but I do know one thing, and that is that you will repent to my master. The evil spirit territory lord raised his hand and released the forbidden black screen. Under the stacking of his explosive power, layer after layer of seals enveloped this area. In addition, the evil spirit divine territory was his territory, so its power was unleashed to the extreme. This seal was much stronger than before. This was the true power of an Empyrean spirit treasure. The previous seal could only be considered half of its true power. Due to the consumption, the evil spirit region lord and the others could not use it often. They would not use it unless they had no other choice. Under this seal, Tianyun immediately felt his strength being suppressed. This was the suppression of the power of an Empyrean. Due to the difference in energy levels, after being suppressed, one's strength would be greatly reduced. Fortunately, he had the title of Sir God. Hence, the suppression power was basically halved. However, even if it was halved, his combat power would still be reduced by 4 to 5 million points. If he didn't have that title, his combat power would basically be reduced. At that time, he was not even at the level of a god monarch. He could only be considered to be at the level of the Lord of Heaven. The gap between realms is truly terrifying. But I can make up for it. Tianyun's eyes turned cold and he said in a deep voice, "Level up." Ding. 50,000 compressed experience points deducted. Ding. Congratulations to player Tianyun for successfully breaking through to level 3 God Monarch. Level up again. Ding. 100,000 compressed experience points deducted. Ding. Congratulations to player Tianyun for successfully breaking through to level 4 God Monarch. His basic experience points were immediately emptied. He could not even level up anymore. Killing 2 terrifying Empyreans and stacking so many experience cards allowed him to level up twice. Otherwise, he would not be able to get that much experience even if he slaughtered an entire city. Previously, he had killed so many evil spirit race members in the 10,000 Divine Pagoda and gained a lot of experience points, but it was only to fill the gaps between his teeth. All in all, he could only level up twice. If he wanted to continue to level up, he would have to kill the evil spirit region lord. After leveling up, the pressure on him decreased rapidly. As his cultivation increased, the suppression effect of the power of an Empyrean would naturally weaken. In addition, his basic points had increased, and he suddenly rushed to 15 million points of star power. Explode! The crazy damage mode was activated, and his combat power immediately shot up, jumping from 15 million points of star power to 2.6 billion points. This included all the major bloodlines and the bonus of the evil Lord of Heaven set. The power allowed him to explode to 2.6 billion points of star power, directly surpassing the evil spirit region lord's full power. Boom! A terrifying aura swept out from his body, pushing back the oppressive power. Even the forbidden black screen's suppressive power was bounced back. What's sealing power? It was bullshit in front of him. This aura, what's going on? The evil spirit region lord went crazy. He had unleashed his full power, but why was the other party's power stronger than his? He clearly felt that the other party's cultivation was at most at the Divine Lord level, but after unleashing his power, it had already surpassed his level. That's what happened. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed, and the starlight divine spear in his hand twisted in the void, disappearing on the spot. The evil spirit region lord was shocked. The sudden disappearance of Yi Tianyun made him feel very strange. Did he escape? The next moment he felt a dangerous aura coming from the side. It made him subconsciously slap over, but what he touched was nothingness. There was nothing. Nothing? The evil spirit region lord felt very strange. The place where he attacked was clearly where the danger was, so why was there nothing? However, he could still feel that dangerous aura behind him. Could it be in the void? The evil spirit region lord immediately knew what was going on. He quickly turned around and fiercely stabbed at the void, wanting to shatter the void and force Yi Tianyun out. Boom! The void was directly blown up by the punch, and the evil spirit region lord's power frantically surged into the void, wanting to force Yi Tianyun, who was hiding inside, out. The direction of the attack is correct, but that's where I was just now, idiot. Before he finished speaking, the attack had already penetrated the evil spirit region lord's chest, nailing him in the void. He attacked secretly by confusing the evil spirit region lord's perception. Although it was said to be an open and aboveboard competition, wasn't this an open and aboveboard competition? This was just one of his abilities. Moreover, talking about open and aboveboard with the evil spirit region lord was simply courting death. After Yi Tianyun stabbed him, he quickly spun, wanting to grind the evil spirit region lord into powder. The evil spirit region lord had already grabbed the starlight divine spear that had pierced into his chest at an even faster speed, dragging it out fiercely and quickly retreating tens of thousands of miles. Chapter 1336. Huff, huff, huff. Void bloodline, how can you travel through the void? The evil spirit territory lord's expression was ugly, and the huge wound on his chest quickly began to heal. It was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, his injuries were not light after this move, and he had consumed a lot of energy. It seemed that it was not easy at all, and he might even lose. Even after going all out, it was still not enough for the other party's power, which shocked him. However, his decisiveness and speed surprised Yi Tianyun. He had thought that he could get rid of him, but who knew that the evil spirit territory lord would be so decisive and have a set of dodging skills? That's none of your business. Yi Tianyun did not waste time with him. He immediately rushed forward and quickly waved the starry divine spear in his hand. He had escaped before, but this time, he wanted to see what the evil spirit territory lord had. Facing an even more powerful move, the evil spirit territory lord's face darkened. Looks like I can only go all out. Immediately, the forbidden black screen appeared in his hand, and then he crushed it, crushing the forbidden black screen in his hand. After crushing it, the sealing power in the surroundings began to gather toward him and fill his body. As an extremely powerful force poured into his body became larger and larger, like a balloon being inflated. It began to expand rapidly. In the blink of an eye, the power in his body increased several times, and his combat power soared to 2.8 billion points in one go. It directly surpassed Yi Tianyun's combat power. At the same time, Yi Tianyun's attack had already penetrated through. When it was about to touch, the evil spirit territory lord stretched out his hand and grabbed it, fixing the starry divine spear in place. Seal! The evil spirit territory lord growled, and a powerful sealing power was released from his palm. Dense black divine runes enveloped the starry divine spear. After touching it, like divine runes, they were branded on the starry divine spear one by one, sealing the power of the starry divine spear. All of a sudden, the power of the seal was greatly reduced, and at the same time, the seal's power was still rushing towards Yi Tianyun. In the blink of an eye, it had already surged into Yi Tianyun's arm and began to seal his power. Open! Yi Tianyun swung the energy in his hand and executed the boundless godly art. Boundless starlight illuminated the darkness force approaching him. The two powers countered each other and reflected the power of darkness back. However, the power of darkness did not increase by much and remained at the same level as before. Seal it! The evil spirit region lord roared again. One dispelled it, while the other continued to seal it. He wanted to see who had the upper hand. Originally, the power of an Empyrean could suppress it, but now that the evil spirit territory master had completely released the forbidden black screen, this situation was basically equivalent to destroying an Empyrean spirit treasure, and the degree of damage was extremely great. However, it was precisely because of this that its effects could be completely displayed, allowing him to fuse with the black curtain of the forbidden technique, forming an absolute sealing power. Under the power of the seal, Yi Tianyun's strength was once again suppressed. Even the boundless god technique was unable to withstand this surging power. Yi Tianyun's expression changed. His figure flashed and disappeared from where he was standing. In the next moment, he had teleported to a place 10,000 miles behind him. The starry divine spear in his hand was already pitch black, and a lot of its power had been sealed, making it difficult to exert its strongest power. What a powerful sealing power! Yi Tianyun's expression darkened. He also had a black sealing power on his body. It would take a long time to undo it, and it was not that easy to undo. The evil spirit territory master was willing to suppress him even if his Empyrean spirit treasure was destroyed, so he naturally erupted without holding back. What happened to fighting together? The evil spirit territory master's eyes were full of ridicule. This time, he could finally surpass Yi Tianyun and not be beaten up by Yi Tianyun. I wonder who escaped faster than me just now? Yi Tianyun sneered. When the other party was hit by the spear, he immediately fled to heal his injuries. How would he dare to fight head-on with Yi Tianyun? You're about to die, yet you still dare to be stubborn. I don't even want the Empyrean spirit treasure anymore. Let's see how you can turn things around this time. The evil spirit territory master snorted coldly and attacked Yi Tianyun again. Due to the effect of the forbidden black screen, all escape routes had been sealed. He was restricted to a certain range and could not escape. It was like this had become a duel arena. As long as he did not win, he could not leave this area. Immediately, the evil spirit territory master continued to chase after him frantically. The effect of an all-out attack was amazing. In addition, Yi Tianyun's power was suppressed, so Yi Tianyun was in a passive situation and kept getting beaten. After being hit a few times, the power of the seal became stronger and stronger, and Yi Tianyun could only choose to dodge and escape. He had already burst out with his full strength, but he still could not catch up with the evil spirit territory master's power. This was the difference between an Empyrean spirit treasure. The other party had an Empyrean spirit treasure, but he did not have an Empyrean spirit treasure, so he was basically suppressed. An Empyrean spirit treasure is really a good thing. It can also be released with full strength, and it can enhance one's strength. Yi Tianyun constantly blocked the other party's attacks and was in a passive state. However, he could still resist for a period of time. In the eyes of the evil spirit territory master, he was already an arrow at the end of its flight and could not hold on for too long. Let's see how long you can hold on for. The attacks of the evil spirit territory master were getting stronger and stronger. As long as he continued to attack, Yi Tianyun's power would be sealed more and more, and then victory would be his. At this time, Yi Tianyun's body was really covered with a lot of black sealing power. If this continued, his combat power would definitely be reduced by a lot, and when the gap between them was even greater, he would not be able to resist. I can hold on until the evil spirit's celestial realm is destroyed. Yi Tianyun grinned and looked to the side. The 10,000 divine pagoda was crazily destroying over there. One planet after another was destroyed, and it was unknown how many evil spirit race members had died. According to this situation, even if he died, the evil spirit celestial realm would collapse more than half, or even be completely destroyed. Damn it, stop! The evil spirit territory master roared, and his attack speed increased once again. Yi Tianyun continued to block, and from time to time, he would teleport and escape, which could stall for a little more time. If you have the ability, don't run. Stop and fight with me. After the evil spirit territory master fought for a period of time, he wanted to vomit blood. Yi Tianyun kept on running. He was really tenacious, and it made him feel suffocated. If you have the ability, then catch up. Being able to escape is also a kind of ability, idiot. Yeon-yun laughed loudly and continued to fight. Damn it, even if the evil spirit celestial realm is destroyed, I will still kill you. Being trapped here, I want to see if you have the ability to make a comeback. The evil spirit territory master roared. Is that so? I don't think so. Chapter 1337. Itaeon-yun is here. In addition to wasting time, he is also earning experience. With more and more experience, he would be able to level up. At that time, he would definitely be able to counterattack. At the same time, when the evil spirit race received the news, they all fled out of the evil spirit divine realm. Although they were not afraid of death, they felt extremely powerless against the 10,000 divine pagoda. There was no way they could resist, so they could only choose to temporarily retreat. It was not a wise choice to stay there forever. The result was heavy casualties. Moreover, this was an order from the elders, telling them to quickly choose to retreat instead of staying on the various planets. For the first time, they felt so helpless and pathetic. Previously, they had always been arrogant. When they rushed into other planets, they would be brutally abused, killing the other party until they begged for mercy or fled in all directions. Now that it was their turn, they finally experienced this feeling. It was filled with despair, anger, and unwillingness to be humiliated. Hurry up and escape. If that giant rushes over, we'll be finished. That's right, hurry up and escape. Who is controlling the treasure to come over and cause trouble here? No matter who is causing trouble, we have to evacuate first. Otherwise, we'll be dead for sure. Their cultivation levels were not high, only at the level of the Lord of Heaven and the Earth Monarch. These were the most obvious cannon fodder. Divine monarchs could still dodge quickly, but they really could not escape in time. They would soon be trampled into dust by the 10,000 divine pagoda. Of course, these attacks had not affected them yet. It was just that they had received the order to evacuate in advance, so they quickly escaped. If they stayed here, who knew if they would attack later? When they flew out of the passageway in groups and were about to fly to the various planets outside, suddenly, pitch-black shadows floated over. Before they could react, they had already pounced on them and completely torn them into pieces. It's the Star Sea Demon. Good, so many of them. When they saw the black shadows pouncing on them, they were naturally densely packed Star Sea Demons. There were tens of thousands of them, densely surrounding the passageway. When they came out, they were immediately torn to pieces, and not even their bones were left. Not only here, but the other passageways were also blocked by the Star Sea Demon. As long as an evil spirit race came out, they would immediately be torn into pieces. Some waited for the evil spirit race to fly far away before secretly surrounding and tearing them apart. This way, the evil spirit race would not be scared back. It was the astral overlord that the astral sea demons were piled up here. After Itaeon raised the astral overlord to the level of a divine sovereign, his control over the astral sea demons increased greatly. He could easily control a large group of the Lord of Heaven astral sea demons. With its help, more than half of the exits were blocked. Groups of evil spirit race were torn apart, but Itaeon could not obtain any experience. After all, these were not his pets. Even if the Star Overlord controlled them to attack, he would not be able to obtain any experience. In another area, groups of evil spirit race escaped. When they scattered in all directions, many figures appeared in the surroundings. When they were all scattered, they suddenly rushed out and ruthlessly killed them. This group of people was actually Yu Ming and the others. They had also received Itaeon's orders and were waiting for an ambush. As long as the evil spirit race came out, they would immediately kill them. There was still the last group, the divine spirit race. They were extremely happy to come and kill the evil spirit race. After receiving Itaeon's orders, their experts all moved over. At first, when Itaeon said that he was going to attack the evil spirit divine realm, they were all shocked. However, seeing that Itaeon was serious, they also accepted it. They chose to believe in Yi Tianyun and not refute anything. In their opinion, Yi Tianyun would not act rashly. When they arrived here, they thought that they would kill their way in together, but Yi Tianyun told them to stay outside and wait for the evil spirit race to come out. Once the evil spirit race escaped, they would immediately hunt them down. It would be best to hunt them in batches and not alert them. There were a total of 3 groups. One was the Star Sea Demons led by the Star Overlord, the other was the team led by Yu Ming, and the last was the Divine Spirit race. Yi Tianyun wanted the 3 realms to help, but their cultivation was relatively weak, so the help they could provide was limited. For the time being, they would focus on protecting the 3 realms. It should be said that the 3 realms had already spread out quite a few forces, occupying quite a few areas of Fanyu. Under these 3 groups of powerful forces, unless they were at a heaven-defying level, there was only death awaiting them. As for those Divine Lord Elders, they would not leave without permission, nor did they expect that they would be surrounded outside. If he had known, he would have immediately given the order not to escape. However, it was too late now. They had quietly dealt with a large number of evil spirit races. Even if they were unable to destroy the evil spirit divine realm, this battle had at least severely injured the evil spirit divine realm. It would take tens of thousands of years for them to recover their vitality. This was the effect of working together. They would work together to destroy the evil spirit race and reap their harvest. It's really as Master said. They will escape one after another. Yu Ming was extremely surprised. Normally, they would not be able to kill their way in, but it was different now. When they came out, it would undoubtedly be equivalent to coming out of the thick city walls. At that time, it would be their turn to reap their harvest. The divine spirit race was the same. They were all frightened by this situation. Just as Yi Tianyun had said, they would run out after a while. Judging from the violent situation of the 10,000 divine pagoda, it would definitely scare them out of their wits. It was certain that they would escape. Even if they were intercepted by the evil spirit domain lord, it would only be temporary. In the end, they would definitely be chased everywhere. They were just escaping in advance. It just so happened that when they were escaping, they were surrounded by an inescapable net, unable to escape. While the many evil spirit races outside were being hunted, the evil spirit races inside were also being ruthlessly crushed by the 10,000 divine pagoda. Yi Tianyun, on the other hand, was running in all directions, avoiding the attacks of the evil spirit domain lord. In fact, if he kept hiding, he could be said to be able to win this round. After all, the evil spirit domain lord's full power could not last for too long. As long as he delayed it long enough, he could drag the evil spirit domain lord to death. Die, don't run if you have the ability. The evil spirit domain lord was about to explode. This time Tianyun was the same as before. He was running in all directions, avoiding his concentrated attacks. If this continued, he would lose without a doubt. It's about time. Tianyun's eyes flashed as he sneered, "Level up." Ding, successfully deducted 150,000 compression experience points. Congratulations to player Yi Tianyun for successfully breaking through to the 5th level of God Monarch. Chapter 1338. After killing so many evil spirit race beings, he finally had enough experience. It was too difficult to level up now. It was not enough to just destroy one planet of evil spirit race beings. He had to destroy several planets in a row, and there was the stacking of experience cards to reach the standard of leveling up. The experience required was too much. It was because the cultivation level of the evil spirit race was too low, and the experience gained from the Earth Monarch level was so pitiful. Especially since the experience was compressed, it was not as much as before, causing his leveling speed to greatly slow down. No matter what, it was finally time for him to level up. After leveling up to level 5 Divine Monarch, the power that sealed him was instantly opened, and the seal on him was greatly weakened. It was originally weakened by about half, but now that his cultivation level had increased, the weakening effect was less than 30%. He was very satisfied with the sudden increase in effect. "It's my turn this time." Lee Tianyun sneered, and the power of the planets in his body began to circulate. He had wanted to circulate it before, but he felt that even after circulating it, he would not be able to maximize the effect. When the time came, he would not be able to kill the evil spirit territory lord, and instead, he would scare the other party away. If that really happened, it would be troublesome. He did not want that to happen. Therefore, he had been stalling for time. When he broke through to level 5 Divine Monarch, it would be the time to truly erupt. Why? You're not running anymore? The evil spirit territory lord saw that Lee Tianyun was not moving and was immediately delighted. Yes, I'm not running anymore. Because it's time for you to die. Lee Tianyun sneered. Time for me to die? I wonder who was chased like a stray dog just now, and now you're telling me that it's time for me to die? What a joke. Didn't Heavenly Venerable God Killer teach you not to be too arrogant? No, Heavenly Venerable God Killer is an arrogant and conceited person to begin with. The evil spirit territory lord snorted and immediately attacked Lee Tianyun. This time, his strength was still the same as before. There were no fluctuations, so he could still persist for the time being. He did not have any fluctuations, but Lee Tianyun was different. The power of the planets in his body started to circulate completely. Metal gave birth to water, water gave birth to wood, and wood gave birth to metal. Lightning also gave birth to water, and under the crazy cycle, his power began to rise. Coupled with the increase in his cultivation base, his foundation became bigger. Even if it was only an increase of 3 million points of star power, it would be equivalent to an increase of 400 million star power under the superposition of 128 times. It was definitely not bad. The key was not just a simple 128 times increase, there was also the superposition of martial arts. The planets in his body revolved and similarly displayed a frantic stacking of power. All of them gushed out, causing the void space to explode. His combat power also rushed from the original level of 2.6 billion to the level of 3 billion in one breath, jumping over 700 million combat power in one breath. It could be said to be terrifying. This power was immediately felt by the evil spirit territory lord. While he was shocked, he quickly wanted to withdraw his fist and escape. The power that was transmitted over made him feel an extreme sense of danger, and even a sense of death surged up from the bottom of his heart. You want to leave? It's too late. Lee Tianyun's expression was indifferent as he reached out and grabbed the fist of the evil spirit territory lord that was smashing over. With a boom, the evil spirit territory lord's energy rushed over and dispersed on both sides of Lee Tianyun's palm, causing no damage to his palm at all. The evil spirit territory lord was taken aback, not knowing what he wanted to do. Lee Tianyun smiled at him, reached out and pulled hard. With a rip sound, the evil spirit territory lord's arm was torn off just like that. Such a tough physique was torn apart like a piece of paper with a light tug. Go, go, go! The evil spirit territory lord's mind was not full of revenge, nor was it full of fighting with Lee Tianyun. He just wanted to escape. If he didn't escape, he would really die. If he died, he wouldn't be able to take revenge. But would he be able to escape? After Lee Tianyun tore off the other party's arm, the starry divine spear in his right hand had already pierced out. The power that was enough to penetrate everything naturally and easily penetrated the evil spirit territory lord's body, nailing him in the void. There was clearly nothing in the void, but it was able to fix him in place. This was related to the power of the void. Under the effect of the void bloodline, the surrounding void could be greatly strengthened, becoming like an iron wall, trapping the opponent. The power of the void was not just about traveling through the void. It could also be used in various aspects, and this was one of its uses. Didn't you say that we would fight fair and square? Why do you want to escape now? Don't you want to avenge your master? Or is it that as long as there's life, there's hope? Lee Tianyun looked at him with a sneer. The evil spirit territory lord's face turned pale. He wanted to resist, but found that his power had been locked. The main thing was that Lee Tianyun's attack just happened to hit his vital point, and the violent power wreaked havoc all over his body. It looked normal on the surface, but in fact, when the spear pierced through, most of his body had already been destroyed. The wings on his back began to fall rapidly like withered flowers, turning into wings of light without wings. Don't think that it's over. Even if you're heavenly venerable God-killer's disciple, you still have to die. The evil spirit territory lord crushed an unknown object in his hand, and it quickly turned into a beam of light that spread in all directions. Lee Tianyun didn't need to investigate to know that it must be the type of message that spread the news that he was heavenly venerable God-killer's disciple. This was something he was very happy to see. Otherwise, how could he have let the evil spirit territory lord send a message? He already knew the moment the evil spirit territory lord took it out. If he really didn't want to send a message, the evil spirit territory lord would definitely not be able to do so. Oh, you still want to send a message? Lee Tianyun smiled faintly. That's right, you're dead. Don't think that it's over. Even heavenly venerable God-killer will be punished in the face of a stronger grade 4 God realm. The evil spirit territory lord shouted, his eyes filled with anger. His body was on the verge of collapse. If this continued, his body would explode and he would die. Lee Tianyun's attacks had never been merciful. He hadn't been merciful in the past, and he wouldn't be merciful now. Is that so? But before you die, let me tell you something, lest you die with everlasting regrets. Lee Tianyun moved closer to the evil spirit territory lord and said softly, actually, I'm not heavenly venerable God-killer's disciple, but he was killed by me. Your message is very helpful to me. I hope it can make heavenly venerable God-killer's force suffer some losses. You. The evil spirit territory lord's eyes widened. He couldn't believe that Lee Tianyun could kill heavenly venerable God-killer. But now that Lee Tianyun said so, could he really be dead? Chapter 1339. Surprise? I was waiting for your message. It really saved me a lot of effort. Thank you very much. Lee Tianyun smiled and thanked him. The evil spirit realm lord wanted to say something, but he could only let out an oh sound. He wanted to send another message, but it was already impossible. The message just now had consumed all his strength. At this time, except for his head, his body is in a state of collapse. How can he use the communication treasure? You don't have to thank me. Thank you very much for your help. In order to thank you, I will not leave your body intact. I will let you drift in your own territory. Lee Tianyun swung the star divine spear in his hand, and the vast power of the starry sky was released in all directions. At this time, the evil spirit realm lord directly turned into a pile of black powder. Drifting around, his sturdy head was smashed by him. Ding! Successfully killed evil spirit territory lord. Reward: 46,000 compressed EXP, 2,500 compressed crazy point, 2,500 compressed SBS. Obtain taboo black curtain, evil spirit bloodline, evil spirit divine record, evil spirit divine realms secret room control. Killing above level, additional 500 compressed crazy point, 500 compressed sin value. Just like heavenly venerate Fate, the reward for killing is the same, except for the difference in cultivation level between the two. They are basically carved from the same mold. There is no difference in the rewards. The only difference is the experience. After all, the evil spirit realm lord can only be a lower level heavenly venerate early stage cultivation, and heavenly venerate Fate is a lower level heavenly venerate late stage cultivation. The gap between the two is still quite big. Heavenly venerate Fate also died extremely depressed like killer god heavenly venerate. If he explodes like the evil spirit realm lord, then Lee Tianyun can't delay the time. He can only choose to escape first. Heavenly venerate Fate is far stronger than the evil spirit realm lord, so if they really fight, Lee Tianyun will definitely have a headache. It is precisely because of this that he chose to kill heavenly venerate Fate first, killing the strongest first, not the weakest first. Finally finished, the evil spirit realm is destroyed. Tianyun stretched out his hand and waved. 100,000 flying swords flew up from all directions. Following that, his figure flashed and disappeared. The next moment, he appeared on another planet and began a frenzied slaughter. He and the 10,000 deities pagoda destroyed together. This way, their speed would undoubtedly be much faster. Especially when he used the teleportation god stone, his speed would be even more astonishing. The point-to-point teleportation saved him a lot of time on the way back, and he arrived at his destination in an instant. He has a lot of crazy points now. Buying these teleportation god stones is just like buying skin and fur. At the same time, he also kept buying EXP card and crazy point card like they were free. After killing so many evil spirit race, how could he miss out on these experience cards? What's going on? Why are there so many flying swords in the sky? Good, it seems like an attack is coming. When they saw so many flying swords falling down like rain, they ran into the houses to hide, but it was meaningless. These flying swords seemed to have grown eyes as they directly broke through the door and killed them easily. After clearing one planet, Yi Tianyun immediately rushed to the next one. He was not as violent as the 10,000 deities pagoda. He just directly stepped on the planet and killed the evil spirit race. His harvesting speed is quite fast. According to this progress, it won't take too long to eradicate the evil spirit race quickly. Originally, the number of evil spirit race was not very large. They were just scattered around the major planets, so the total number of evil spirit race was not much. While Yi Tianyun was harvesting the evil spirit race crazily, the news sent by the evil spirit territory lord quickly reached the major alliances. When one of the third-grade god domain lords received the news, he immediately frowned. He looked up and saw a divine monarch coming over, and this divine monarch happened to be the divine general under the killing god Heavenly Master. Greetings, Heaven Punishment Territory Lord. I am the divine general under the killing god Heavenly Master. There is a matter that I don't know if I can ask the Heaven Punishment Territory Lord for help. This divine general did not know. He was only here to gather information and also to ask them to pay more attention to the surroundings. If there was any news about the 10,000 deities pagoda, they should immediately be informed. Damn you, killing god Heavenly Master. How dare you betray the alliance? Capture him. The Heaven Punishment Territory Lord slammed the chair and shouted sternly. The guards at the side did not hesitate and immediately pounced on this divine general to restrain him. This divine general did not know what was going on, but he was captured. And what was up with this betrayal of the alliance? Heaven Punishment Territory Lord, what is the meaning of this? Our master would never betray the alliance. Could it be? The divine general's expression changed. He thought that the culprit might have controlled the 10,000 deities pagoda to attack everywhere. He immediately shouted, Heaven Punishment Territory Lord, the truth is that our master is dead, and the enemy has taken the 10,000 deities pagoda. The one controlling the 10,000 deities pagoda now is not our master. Nonsense. You can even come up with such lies. Killing God Heavenly Master is an upper-level Heavenly Master. Who can casually take his 10,000 deities pagoda? Don't do this even if you want to absolve yourself. The Heaven Punishment Territory Lord did not believe the other party's words. How could killing God Heavenly Master die? These were all excuses. They did not believe that the evil spirit Territory Lord would lie to them, but killing God Heavenly Master would lie. In fact, this had something to do with killing God Heavenly Master not being on good terms with them. That was why they did not believe the Divine General's words. No, it's not like that. Take him away. Cripple his strength and cut off his meridians and limbs. The Heaven Punishment Territory Lord ordered. Yes, Territory Lord. These guards were extremely strong. They easily suppressed this Divine General, making it difficult for him to escape. Now, he could be slaughtered at will. There was no way for him to escape. We're innocent. It's all that guy's trick. We're all innocent. The Heaven Punishment Territory Lord waved his hand, too lazy to care about these things. At the same time, the other alliances received the corresponding news and were all shocked. I said that killing God Heavenly Master did not join us sincerely. He's a loner and doesn't like to put others in his eyes. Now, he's starting to kill madly to increase his cultivation. He's definitely trying to snatch the grade 4 God Realm promotion token. Damn it. If I had known, I wouldn't have let killing God Heavenly Master join us. What a scourge! Now listen to my orders. If you encounter killing God Heavenly Masters Divine General or someone from the God realm, kill them all. Chapter 1340. When all the major divine realms were shocked by this news, Tianyun had already cleared most of the evil spirit divine realm, and the rest had escaped. However, these escapees were quickly annihilated by the overlords of stars outside. When Tianyun wanted to continue to search for the evil spirit divine realm, a sweet voice suddenly came to his ear. Ding! Successfully completed main quest, destroy the evil spirit divine realm, obtained 5,000 compressed crazy point, 1500 compressed sin point, 1500 compressed proficiency. At the same time, obtain the title Super Evil Spirit Killer, and obtained an additional main quest gift pack. Super Evil Spirit Killer. When facing the evil spirit race in the future, the damage will be increased by 50 times, and the pressure exerted by the opponent will be reduced by half, no matter how strong the opponent is. Is it done? Tianyun was happy. He thought that he had to destroy all the evil spirit race to complete the quest, but now it seems that it is not the case at all. He only needs to destroy the general evil spirit race. In fact, he just needs to reduce the number of evil spirit race to a certain amount to complete the quest. If all the evil spirit race is destroyed to complete the quest, then it is basically impossible to complete the quest. Some evil spirit race does not stay in this divine realm at all. They are in other forces or go out to gain experience and so on. If he had to find them one by one, he will go crazy. He doesn't know how long it will take to destroy them all. It's finally completed. This main quest is finally completed. Tianyun breathed a sigh of relief. It means that the evil spirit race is now crippled. It will be extremely difficult to completely recover. But he will not end it so easily. He will still let Yu Ming pay more attention in this aspect to see if there are any fish that slipped through the net. If he could kill one, then one. In any case, he would beat the evil spirit race to the point that they would never be able to recover. Ding! Successfully accepted the main quest, move the 3 realms to the divine realm, become a grade 1 divine realm. Completed the quest, obtained 1000 compressed crazy point, 1000 compressed sin point, 1000 compressed proficiency. At the same time, obtained a new title, I am the Realm Lord. The new quest that appeared did not surprise Tianyun. Generally after completing the main quest, the next main quest will appear. Now that he had cleared out the evil spirit celestial domain, he no longer had any enemies to speak of. With this, he could set up camp in the first-grade celestial domain's territory with a peace of mind. This was a step-by-step mission that did not exceed the scope of his abilities. I can finally come to the god's domain? Tianyun's eyes flickered. He had previously thought of transferring, but when he thought of the evil spirit's celestial territory, he temporarily put that idea aside. Now, he could completely transfer it over. Once he did so, he would be able to have a rapid breakthrough. The environment here was pretty good, much better than in Fanyu. If they moved here, the number of people breaking through to the star venerate level would soar. As for the Lord of Earth and the Lord of Heaven, there would be no problem with them in the future. Next time, I'll head to the god's domain directly. Tianyun nodded. He then noticed the extra main storyline gift bag. It was a special reward, and he didn't know what it was. Shortly after, he opened the main storyline extra gift pack, and soon, a large pile of items appeared before his eyes. Ding! Main storyline gift pack opened. Obtained integration system mode. Shop prices refreshed. Inventory capacity increased. Integration system mode? Shop prices refreshed. Needless to say, the price will increase when you buy it for the second time. When he destroyed the evil spirit celestial territory, he bought a lot of EXP cards. Because the time was relatively short, he needed to buy a lot. As a result, the price doubled crazily, causing the last EXP card to require dozens of crazy point, or even hundreds of crazy point. He couldn't solve it in just an hour. It took him several days just to destroy most of the evil spirit's celestial territory. This is already fast. If it was someone else, they wouldn't know how long it would take to go back and forth. Therefore, he basically used EXP cards the whole time, so the number of EXP cards required is extremely terrifying. But overall it is quite worth it. The EXP and crazy point gained are enough to make up for the loss. In his opinion, EXP is more important. Only by improving his cultivation can he upgrade. Otherwise, those powerful bloodlines can't be upgraded. These are all level restrictions. For example, the crazy damage mode, the next level will take a long time. Inventory capacity increased. Needless to say, the things that couldn't be stuffed before can now be stuffed in. As for this new integration system mode, it made him feel extremely magical. He didn't know what it was. Immediately, he opened the integration system mode, and the corresponding content immediately appeared. Integration system mode can integrate any item or martial art, and at the same time, integrate the advantages of it, and eventually form a stronger unique technique or item. Martial art and item fusion? So, I can integrate anything? Tianyun was happy and immediately began to try it. First, he took out 2 mid-grade rebirth level weapons and threw them into the integration system mode. 2 rebirth level weapons detected. Spend 5 crazy point to fuse? Do I need to compress crazy point? Tianyun thought about it. It's normal for it to cost, so he immediately waved his hand and let it continue. Soon, the 2 reincarnation grade weapons fused together and a brand new weapon appeared. The sword is still a sword, the grade has not changed, but the power has been greatly improved. Not only does it integrate the advantages of the 2 swords, but it also makes up for a lot of shortcomings. For example, one of them is hard, and the other is soft. After the fusion, the softness is moderate, the main thing is that the attributes are enhanced, and the power is enhanced. All of a sudden, the advantages are revealed, and the disadvantages are eliminated. Let's try again. Tianyun threw in medicinal pills this time. 2 second-grade medicinal pills were thrown in. After a while, the second-grade medicinal pill was still condensed, but the effect is enhanced. It is close to the effect of a third-grade medicinal pill. Is there a detailed explanation? Tianyun tried to read the integration system mode. He wanted to see if there is a corresponding formula, so that he can try less. After checking, he found that there is a corresponding rule in it, although it doesn't cover everything, but it roughly covers a lot. It means that the medicinal pill can also be upgraded in the process of fusion, either in the case of the same level, throw in more quantity, or integrate a higher level item. I see. Tianyun immediately threw in 4 or 5 second-grade medicinal pills, and the next moment, a third-grade medicinal pill came out. It had leveled up. It had leveled up perfectly. The effects of the leveling up were even greater. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.